I'm Marjorie Egan. Then on a happier note, we'll talk with the garden lady, C.L. Fornari. She'll stop by to share tips on achieving Hydrangea Happiness and plant happiness. We'll end the show opening the lines with you to see if you think about plants as much as I do, or worry about plants, or if, like Jim, you prefer to leave gardening to the experts. That's all ahead. BPR Live from the Boston Public Library.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Korva Coleman. Iran's Revolutionary Guard says the possibility of safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz will be provided, according to new procedures, but it did not specify what those procedures are. This comes after President Trump halted a short-lived U.S. military operation to wrangle control of the strait from Iran. NPR's Aya Batrawi reports.
The operation, called Project Freedom, began Monday with the U.S. Navy guiding just 2 U.S. flag merchant ships through the Strait of Hormuz, but not before several Iranian Revolutionary Guard speedboats were sunken. Iran then fired at the U.S. Navy and launched missiles at neighbor, the United Arab Emirates, threatening a month-long ceasefire. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on Tuesday the operation was, quote, a gift from the U.S. to the world to secure commercial shipping. But later that day, Trump declared the operation paused. He cited, quote, great progress toward a final deal with Iran, but said a blockade on Iranian ports remains in place. Ending that blockade is a key Iranian demand. Aya Batrawi, NPR News, Dubai.
Results are in from primaries in Ohio and Indiana. In Ohio, former Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown will try to win a seat against incumbent Republican Senator John Husted this fall. Brown lost his own Senate seat in 2024 to a different GOP challenger. In Indiana, President Trump's endorsements helped 5 challengers defeat state Republican senators. The ousted Republicans had opposed Trump's demands for redistricting in Indiana. Separately, there was a special election in Michigan yesterday for a single state Senate seat. The Democratic candidate won. That means Democrats will control Michigan's state Senate at least through the end of this year. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission is suing the New York Times. The EEOC alleges the newspaper chose not to promote a white male employee because of his race or sex. NPR's Andrea Hsu reports.
The lawsuit filed in federal court alleges that the New York Times passed over the white male employee for a vacant position as deputy real estate editor last year. According to the complaint, the employee was not given a final round interview, despite extensive experience that matched the requirements of the job. Eventually, the job went to a multiracial woman who, the EEOC said, lacked experience in real estate journalism. The EEOC contends that the hiring decision was influenced by the newspaper's goal to increase the number of Black and Latino employees and women in leadership. In a statement, the New York Times called the allegations politically motivated and wrote, quote, neither race nor gender played a role in this decision. We hired the most qualified candidate. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
The Pentagon says the U.S. military struck an alleged drug boat in the eastern Pacific yesterday, killing 3 alleged drug traffickers. The Trump administration does not provide evidence or information about the allegations of drug trafficking. This is NPR.
Okay, 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
What's
Those
that?
are the numbers that you can call, or the website you can reach us, because we are having another one of our pledge drives. As you know, we have no more federal funding from the government, so we depend on the generosity of people who are listening right now and on private donors to support the operations that go on here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we have this really neat new, are we on YouTube? I think we are on YouTube. Okay, here it is. It is the monocle. Right away.
Oh, I like the look.
I'm looking at Jim.
Very fashionable.
Wow, I can really see every whisker over there, Jim, from here. And let me tell you,
I don't think that's quite the purpose.
It is not the purpose. It's not to like spy on your neighbors or spy on your friends. I mean, this is a really neat thing.
Like it's not.
Well, maybe you can do that on the side. But you can take this like bird watching, whale watching, anything. And the neat thing is about this monocle,
what is it?
It's like half a binocular kind of deal. Yeah. You can attach it to your phone, and it becomes a telephoto lens.
You are kidding me.
No, that is a really neat thing. Telephoto lenses are very expensive.
Fabulous.
You get this for $10 a month as a sustaining member of GBH. Supporting membership is what we like because it helps our budget people. But this is a really cool new gift, and I tell you,
I'm not sure it's as great as the
your biceps
GBH.
or your bicuspids. What do they call those teeth?
Fine. I'm not sure it's as good as the GBH fanny pack, which is really one of the finest gifts of our lifetime. But this is fabulous. 888, it really is fabulous. 888-897-9424. Smaller, as you said, half a binocular.
Half a binocular.
Thus a monocular.
But a telephoto lens.
Unbelievable.
Is what we're talking about.
GBHnews.org. We need your support. We hope you can give it. 888-897-9424. GBHnews.org.
Welcome to Boston Public Radio. Jim Browdy and Marjorie Egan. We are broadcasting live from the Boston Public Library and streaming, thank you, online at youtube.com/GBH News. State Auditor Diana DeZoglio and Henry Winkler, the Fonz, are going to be with us tomorrow. And Attorney General Andrea Campbell joins us here at the library Tuesday, May 12th. They were just up in court today, right?
Yeah, they were. They were
Yeah.
actually before the SJC.
The SJC.
State's highest court, an oral argument, and we will hear an update on that from one side, the auditors tomorrow, and from the Attorney General next Tuesday. Before we start on a bright note, because we're going to talk about war, which is not a bright note, see these beautiful flowers? Why are they here?
Yes, because...
What are they, first of all?
Well, they are hydrangeas.
Gorgeous.
And we're going to speak later with C.L. Fornari, who's got this great...
Garden Lady.
Garden Lady shows on every week at 1 o'clock on Saturdays. Hydrangea Happiness.
It's beautiful. It's a great little book,
It's a beautiful book, and for people... hydrangeas are gorgeous flowers, and that's a version of them are right there in the pot.
Okay, so our felonious president of peace is once again threatening to bomb Iran if they don't agree to a peace deal. Nothing like a death ultimatum to bring parties to the table in good faith. We're opening the lines this morning to get your thoughts on the war in Iran, now approaching 3 months. Although Secretary of State Marco Rubio claimed just yesterday that victory had been reached, this is at a White House press conference.
Operation Epic Fury is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation.
We achieved the objectives of that operation. We did? Let me go down the objectives when we started this on February 28th, and tell me if we achieved them, Margie, okay?
Okay.
Regime change.
No.
Okay. Obliteration of all of their affirmative offensive military capacity.
Well, no, they've got half of their ballistic missiles
The answer
supposedly
is
are still
no.
there. No.
And how about the end of the possibility of them developing a nuclear weapon?
No.
Okay, so the only thing we have achieved in this war is we have created a problem that didn't exist before the war,
Right.
the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and now Donald Trump is saying that the brilliant effort they led for one day to get 3 ships through the strait is over because allegedly Pakistan...
Yeah, I did think we sunk the Navy, though. We did do that. We destroyed the Navy.
Yeah, that's worth 13 American lives, in economic ruin for the world, including most American consumers. Are you afraid of this turning into another Middle East quagmire? Decades and decades of lives lost, money spent, pretty much nothing to show for. Or if Trump does cut a deal, which he is desperate to do in the short run, next few hours, are we ever going to be able to justify the loss of life and resources and the economic damage that has been done? The number is 877-301-8970. Can I repeat myself for a minute? Either he thinks the American people are the dumbest, most gullible people who ever lived. Every single major objective when he started this war of choice on February 28th has not been achieved. And as I said, a problem that did not exist, the passage of 100-plus ships a day with fuel for the world through the Strait of Hormuz, was created because of his war.
Well, he keeps saying the same thing, and people do believe him. What's the price to pay for having no nuclear weapons in Iran? And
Can I take issue with what you just said? Almost nobody believes him.
Well, I think
2 to 1, the American people oppose this.
Yeah, but there are people that do believe him. And I think the thing is that people forget that we were not going to have a nuclear war under the Obama agreement. There were some sunset clauses down the road. But when he tore up the Obama agreement, when he became the president the first time around, that is when this acceleration of nuclear development began in
Exactly.
Iraq.
And by the way, what he is going to do, if he does cut a deal, I think we all know, it's going to be inferior to, or at best, what Obama negotiated a decade plus ago, and he's going to say it's far superior and continue to lie. You know, the incredible part of this, we're in the middle of a war, and again, lives have been lost, economic ruin, not just in the United States, but around the world. He is hosting, this is in the middle of the war, he is hosting a group of children yesterday at the White House.
Right.
He's reinstating the presidential fitness test, which is sort of ironic in and of itself, considering he is not exactly the fittest man who ever lived. During the visit, he also spoke, this is with the kids surrounding him, little kids. He also spoke about a topic very close to their hearts, their death. Here it is.
So we would have had an Iran with a nuclear weapon, and maybe we wouldn't all be here right now.
Let me tell you, what a comforting message for little children who are there for a fitness test. You all could be dead. You could have been dead and not here, but instead we are allegedly stopping a nuclear weapon. So little boy right there, the chance of you being executed by the Iranians, like today, maybe even tomorrow, is less than it would have been. What an abject
looking
fool.
at each other. They don't know quite what to make of the whole situation.
Can we play that one more time? It was so moving and heartwarming from the president, surrounded by little toddlers, little kids, talking about the presidential fitness test. Here is our president.
So we would have had an Iran with a nuclear weapon.
Correct, that's right.
And maybe we wouldn't all be here right now.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, really, that's so comforting. 877-301-8970. What do you think of this war 2+ months in, the 4 to 6 week war? Are you convinced that if Trump cuts a deal, which he apparently is beyond desperate to do, because his numbers, I assume you know this, are the lowest they've been in either term on every single issue, by the way. Every single
talk
issue.
about who believes him? The Republicans that voted for his candidates in Indiana.
Yeah.
I mean, these Republicans that stood up to Trump, they got buried because his influence, they spent millions and millions of dollars there, but the influence is really strong.
Right.
And the Republicans are going to spend millions and millions of dollars in November as well.
877-301-8970. Want to get your thoughts on the war, on a possible peace deal, which is not, and I put that in quotes, peace deal. And by the way, one more thing before we start. The peace deal that's being talked about is allegedly, according to Axios, 1 page long. We'll talk to Juliette Kayyem about it in the noon hour. And apparently it says the strait will open after a short period of time and will agree in this deal to make a deal about the nuclear weapon, meaning they basically kick it down the road for this 30-day negotiating period. And the assumption is we'll be more successful during that period than we've been so far.
Our number's 88.
No, it's not.
Okay, whatever it is. 877
Call whatever number you want. We'll pick it up.
877-301-8970 is the number to call or text. One thing before, I would not like to be Marco Rubio right now. Marco Rubio, once upon a time, was a Republican of principle. And now he's got to go over and talk to the Pope tomorrow.
Oh, that's a very good point.
You know, he's a Catholic. He's going to go over and explain to the Pope why Marco Rubio, did a 180, shut down USAID as President Trump wanted, resulting in, I think it's fair to say, hundreds of thousands of deaths and millions of illnesses right now that could have been prevented. So Pope's got to explain that. Then he's going to explain, Marco Rubio's got to explain that to the Pope, and then he's going to explain why it is that Trump keeps saying falsely that the Pope is in favor of nuclear weapons, and it's very, very bad for the Catholics, and why he says all these nasty things. I wouldn't want to be Marco Rubio sitting 10 feet away from the Pope at this particular juncture. I mean, what the hell?
What is that, tomorrow?
I think it's Thursday.
Yeah, okay.
It'd be very, very humiliating, I think, for Marco. Maybe he just keeps lying. Maybe he can go to confession first or go to confession after or something like that.
Michael in Rockport, you're first on BPR and APM. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
Presuming for just a moment that attacking Iran made any sense whatsoever, but let's not forget that we were in the nuclear deal with Iran, including monitoring for a period of time until Trump's first term, where he pulled us out of this.
Right.
Which indirectly has led us to where we are today.
I would say directly has led us.
Yeah, you're right, directly. From a military standpoint, if you're going to take out and attack another adversary, you have to look at their key strategic
leverage
facilities that need to be taken under control.
Exactly.
How the Straits of Hormuz were not part of the, dare I say, invasion attack plan within the first hours of this attack is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Now, I wonder, were the people in the Pentagon laying all this out how important it was to take over the Straits, but was Trump and Hexas just, pardon me for saying it, drunk with their cowboy-like ideas of just simply killing the leadership, and that would be enough, and miraculously the population would rise up without weapons and take over the country.
Well, by the way, Michael, do you remember one of the early press conferences when the Secretary of War, as he likes to call himself, Hegseth, basically was disgusted and angry at a reporter who had the temerity to ask him if they had actually anticipated the closure of the Strait. And he said, of course they did. But the answer is, of course they didn't.
Well, I've read two different things. I've read that they were warned, Trump and Hegseth, and didn't care and did it anyway because they were riding high on their Venezuela
Exactly.
thing. And I've also read that because they didn't do it after the June attacks by the United States and Israeli, they kind of figured they weren't going to do it this time either.
Every single military... Michael, thank you for a fine call. Every military expert you and I have seen on CNN since February 20th, everyone, regardless of politics, said exactly what Michael said, that everybody knew the only leverage they had. Obviously, our military is 1,000,000 times more powerful. The only leverage they had was the Strait.
Well, I think that this underscores the fact that Trump thinks he knows better than everybody.
Exactly.
And I think that's he thought he knew better than everybody about this, too, and it turned out he didn't. Let's go to Ansel from Woburn. Thank you for calling.
How are you?
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
So, I mean, every day you get all bent out of shape, wasting energy and speculation on Trump's idiocy and confidence, colossal mistakes, and so forth that don't serve the interests of the country or the world. But, I mean, how often do you pause and consider that Trump's only concern really is enriching himself? And in that case, all of this is just diversionary tactics for us and the media to just waste our time while he cuts deals with anyone who's willing to show him the money, which clearly a lot of people do, considering he is, a few billion, as many journalists have tallied it up to at this point?
Well, and also his sons have elevated grifting to an art form. You know, Ansel, I appreciate your point that self-enrichment is key, but I assume that you're not serious when you say wasting your time. There are 13 dead Americans. There are millions of Americans who've been impoverished because of the increase in price of groceries, gas, fuel, and even if his motive is what you suggested is, the real-world consequences can't be ignored because he's a scam artist. So I respect your opinion, but I just disagree. We have an obligation to talk about what the real-world consequences of a totally irresponsible, clueless president are. Ansel, thanks for the call. And I should say to Ansel, Juliette, when we have her, assuming we have time, it's Pledge Week, we intend actually to talk to her about some of the money that the Trump sons have made in their deals with the Pentagon, including one deal, a robotics deal, where $24 million went to a firm that, I can't remember which Trump son, I think Eric, but I'm not sure, have no experience in robotics. And they just got a $24 million contract from the Pentagon run by his father.
I think the estimate is $4 billion made for the Trump family.
From $2 to $6 billion of wealth since he took office.
A lot of the stuff with the cryptocurrency and a lot of support. And the other thing is, it's such a weird thing, is that Jared Kushner is over in, is the emissary that's going to be negotiating with the Iranians and has negotiated with the Iranians. Yeah. And he's making all this money from the Saudis who want this war to continue. Right. Not only that, but I don't know why the Iranians are going to trust him or Witkoff, since two previous times when they've been negotiating, we have bombed Iran. It's a real problem, I think. So I don't understand why we're sending those two people that have kind of screwed the Iranian negotiators, not once but twice. It's odd. Isn't it?
You know, the reason I'm smiling, I'm sorry, I know it's inappropriate, but I'm getting a little nostalgic while you're talking. I'm thinking about my mother, raised by a single mother, when she sat me down during the Vietnam War, and she said, it was really beautiful. She said, Sonny, she called me Sonny. She said, you could be dead tomorrow. And she didn't say it as beautifully as Donald Trump said to those little kids who he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
But it was such a beautiful...
That was a big threat during the Vietnam era. You don't get your grades, you don't pass your grades, you don't get enough to go to college, you're going to Vietnam. That was the line.
I can't get this out of my head. I mean, is this further proof
he
of
was
how
with
totally detached from any reality this
Don't you remember
man?
the great picture at Easter? There's the Trump
with the bunny.
the White House.
The life-size
and right next to him is
bunny.
this huge Easter bunny. And Trump is talking about death and destruction, and the Easter bunny's there, the little kids are there, the parents are there. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Chuck and Brighton.
How would you feel, by the way, just one second, if you're one of the parents of one of the 13 Americans who lost their lives, or a sibling, or a partner, or a kid, how do you feel 2+ months in when you realize where we are after the person you love gave their life?
Listen, I think you feel the same way a lot of the soldiers who were in Iraq and Afghanistan feel.
True.
What did we do this for, or what did we do it for in Vietnam? I think we have a unfortunate history here for decades, and we don't seem to learn from our mistakes. And also, you're reading about how we're all obsessed with creating more and more of this very, very expensive war machinery, when it's clear between the Iranians and between the Ukrainians and the Russians. We're going to talk later about Sudan, or what's going on right now. It's drones. Everybody's using these drones, and it's like we're preparing for the war we fought 10 years ago instead of the wars ahead. Chuck from Brighton, thank you for calling.
Hello, Chuck.
Well, to speak to what you guys are just talking about right here, there's an exclusive this morning from the Washington Post saying that Iran has hit far more U.S. military assets than previously reported, according to satellite imagery. But,
by the way,
that's a great point.
Before you continue, the original reporting, which was brilliant, was CNN 2 days ago, where they showed the images of the bases. I think there are 16 bases in the region, and you see the satellite images. And many of them, Chuck, are like really destroyed. It's stunning. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, so my main point that I was calling about is this last 2 months of this war have, in my eyes, really solidified our position as a global empire in decline. We've isolated ourselves from our allies, and who Trump wants us to be allies with is Russia. And there's plenty of reporting saying that Russia has been providing intel to Iran. So the ally that he wants still doesn't want to be our ally, and all of our allies in Europe aren't involved. And then the second thing, which I think I've talked with you guys about before, is the leading empires throughout history have had the leg up on resources, on energy, and this has once again shown that we are so behind in renewable energy, which is the energy resource of the future. We're screwed.
I think that is perfect, Chuck.
Chuck, Fareed Zakaria, I'm a big fan of his because I think he's a very smart guy, and he's not an American, and I think he has a much more global view. Anyway, he was talking about the unique thing about the United States is we were the only hegemon that kind of was not out to screw everybody else. The Romans took over this, they took over that, going way back in history. Great Britain much more recently took over, India, they took over these different countries, Ireland. We did some of that. We interfered, not that we didn't make mistakes, but generally speaking, we were viewed as more or less better than those people because we didn't do as much of that. And now it's like we're out for the money. We're just kind of out for the money and out for showing off what we can do with our military.
By the way, you didn't mean Zakaria was not an American man. He was born out of the country. He's an American. But
he's an American. You're right, but he's born in India.
Yeah.
Actually, I thought he was born in India. No?
He was? I just said he was born in India, but he's an American.
Oh, he's an American now. Okay.
Dan in Concord, welcome to the show. We're talking about the state of the war. Hi.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to I wanted to point out that it is my hope that in any negotiations with Iran does not allow the issue of Israel in southern Lebanon off of the agenda. The world, even if the United States won't do it, the world really has to do something about Israel's aggression all over the area. They're killing medical professionals.
I agree with you.
They're killing civilians in southern Lebanon. They're absolutely destroying civilian infrastructure. And they claim to be in a ceasefire, which is the MO for Israel. It's always a fragile ceasefire where they kill Palestinians in Gaza and in southern Lebanon and in the West Bank. So I hope that they do not take that off of the agenda. It is more important now than ever that somebody stop Israel.
Well, the worry I have, and thank you for your call, Dan, is as we learned, one of the reasons why the United States is in this war is because the leader of Israel led him around by the nose in a security briefing where he was not only, this is Netanyahu, not only encouraging the United States to do what they did and apparently convince Trump, but he brought a list. Talk about naivete and duplicity. Netanyahu brought a list of, I think it was 5 leaders who he said would be appropriate successors to the Ayatollah when there was regime change, which, as we learned, never happened. So I think the likelihood of Trump demanding, Chuck, something from the Iranians that would make Netanyahu unhappy is nil, even though I agree with you. You're listening to BPR on GBH and NEPM. We're taking your calls and your texts about the war.
Boston Public Radio. Live local conversations every day, brought to you by listener support. Now it's your turn to keep the conversation going with an ongoing contribution in any amount. Please sign up as a sustaining member during our spring membership drive. Call 888-897-9424 or give online at gbhnews.org.
Okay, let me give you that number again, 888-897-9424, the website, gbhnews.org. And we have a new enticement today for $10 a month to make you a sustaining member. How about this? We've got this, it's a monocular telescope. What does that mean? Well, the thing I could think about would be most useful for me. It comes with its own tripod, and then you can connect it as a telephoto lens for your smartphone.
Oh, you'll be doing that.
So if you're out, like say you're on a whale watch or you're at a sporting event or you're stargazing, you attach the phone to the high-powered monocular telescope, and not only can you see through it, but if you want to, you can attach your phone to it and take your picture through it. You could have really close-up selfies, I suppose, too, if you wanted to.
I'll give you $10 a month and $120 all at once if you hook it up to your smartphone. I want to see that, by the way.
That's why I have my children come over to help me.
Okay,
it's $10 a month. You can give $120 all at once, and the deadline to get the monocular is 7 o'clock tonight. After that, won't be available for the rest of the drive. You can give online at GBH News or call 888-897-9424.
You know, this is fabulous. As I said a couple of minutes ago, this is half a binoculars. I mean, is
that
great? And what does that mean? It's easier to carry around with you. It fits in something that binoculars might not fit in. You can do something with the other eye, by the way.
You can take pictures with it.
Exactly,
That's
assuming you can hook it up kind of thing. And most importantly, it is a new enticement.
It is new.
We love that. $120 all at once. As I'm sure you know, I go birding practically every afternoon after work. So I will be getting one of these things and birding my you-know-what off kind of thing. So I'm into this. By the way, it really is a great, what do you call it, enticement thing.
Enticement.
888-897-9424. By the way, already we're getting some incredible comments. Lee Westboro, I'm crazy about Jim and Marjorie. I love everything on GBH. And Tyler from Providence, I think, really nailed it. What the F would we do without you? What's the answer to that question for Tyler? What the F would they do without us?
I think, frankly, Jim, you could use some birding.
I could.
Might calm you down a little bit. You know what I mean? It might be a soothing thing for you to be
What's
doing.
the number? 888-897-9424. GBHnews.org. As Marjorie said, this great deal on the monocular disappears at 7 o'clock today, so do it now, and everybody here appreciates it.
In celebration of David Attenborough's 100th birthday, he looks back at his most iconic film that changed everything. Don't miss Life on Earth, Attenborough's Greatest Adventure, tonight at 8 on GBH2.
Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Marjorie Egan and Jim Browdy. We're live from the library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. We spent a lot of time on the show recently talking about the many international conflicts we face: Gaza and Israel, Ukraine, Iran just a few minutes ago. But another conflict that is wreaking havoc for civilians, including children, and garnering almost no attention here in the mainstream U.S. press and among the American public, is Sudan. I am embarrassed by how little I knew about the situation in Sudan. Here is the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk. He was with us on the show a few months ago. Here he is speaking about the situation in Sudan in February.
This war is ugly, it's bloody, and it's senseless. I cannot help but wonder how those striving or benefiting from this madness, both inside and outside the country, can sleep at night. If much of the international community continues to act as a passive bystander, then something is fundamentally wrong with our collective moral compass.
And as of this moment, we are all passive bystanders, which is indefensible. We're joined now live from Sudan by Li Fung. She's the top UN human rights official there, where years of civil war and famine have reached critical levels. 14 million people displaced, more than half the population facing food insecurity today. Fung is from the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner of Human Rights, their representative in Sudan. She's joining us from Port Sudan. She was supposed to be joining us from Khartoum, the capital, but flights have been canceled due to drone strikes targeting the airport earlier this week. Li Fung, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, and glad to be able to help to raise a little bit of attention to the ongoing conflict in Sudan and the human rights that continues to have.
Well, exactly. That's where I was going to start. Please explain to us and our listeners what's this war about, who's fighting, and why?
I think it's a very complex situation, and what looked like it was over 3 years ago, when it started on the 15th of April 2023 in Khartoum, it looked like a civil war, a conflict between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces, which were part of the Sudanese security forces at the time. It looked like a conflict for power, for control of territory. But as 3 years of war have worn on, it's very clear that that goes beyond just a simple civil war, which is aiming to control territory. It is really about economic interests, about power that drives this war. And it's very clear that there's a very complex web of economic interests that are driving the war, that it's about control over natural resources and how these flow within and outside of the country. And it's also about continued weapons flows into the country from outside. So it's an increasingly complex conflict that involves different actors within the region, and Sudan sits at the crossroads of many regions. It borders the Horn of Africa, the Sahel, North Africa, and the Gulf states. And the conflict in Sudan is having a real impact upon the region more broadly. The spillovers across borders, but also the involvement of different actors in different ways from across the region. And what's clear is that those who are paying the ultimate price are the civilians in Sudan.
Could you explain, Li Fung, explain some of the tactics, some of the brutality that has been exhibited that's caused this displacement of close to 30 to 40% of the population there?
I think it's very clear that we're seeing tactics of forced displacement. If we are looking at how the war has been conducted in North Darfur, for example, and I think that everyone had heard about the city of El Fasher, that was the capital what is the capital of North Darfur, and was captured by the Rapid Support Forces in October last year. What drove this was a siege of the city that blocked off entries and exits of people, of goods, of humanitarian supplies, essentially starving the city, and constant bombardment And then when we saw the final offensive, it was then continued forced displacement of the population out of the city by massive atrocities and violations, which amount to international crimes. Summary executions, sexual violence used as a weapon of war to terrorize the population and to force displacement, abductions for ransom, to terrorize people and also to get money. So these are some of the tactics that we have seen of brutality. But what we have also seen, particularly since the end of last year and throughout 2026, is the increasing use of drone warfare as the tactics to drive this war, which means that there's no longer a dependence on proximity of the forces, on ground offensives, that you can launch remote control warfare from far away. The drones that struck Khartoum airport on Monday would have been launched from very far away. They were strategic drones, very advanced weaponry. And what we have documented is that in the first 4 months of this year, over 80% of the civilian deaths that we have documented as a result of the conflict were attributable to drones. And that's 880 deaths in the space of 4 months. And the large majority of them, 65%, were in the Kordofan region, which is now, after Darfur has mostly been taken by the Rapid Support Forces, has become the epicenter, the real focus of hostilities and fighting since late 2025. And we're seeing massive displacement, compounding existing humanitarian needs and catastrophe, compounding existing famine and food insecurity situations and large-scale displacement, and then the violations that have been rampant throughout this war because of the lack of accountability and the continued impunity for violations past and present.
We're talking to Li Fung from the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, a representative in Sudan, and she is zooming in from Port Sudan.
You spoke about a famine and the humanitarian crisis. The United States basically get rid of its USAID program, much to the horror of many Americans, but it's mostly gone. Is there an impact on that in this war?
I think that the humanitarian response has been greatly affected by funding cuts, and this has really hit hard. And it's also hit hard in areas which are really critical, like responses to sexual violence and sexual and reproductive health rights. It's areas where we see that the massive scale of sexual violence in Sudan, that these are the areas, and health. These are the areas where funding cuts are striking. The US has allocated humanitarian funding to Sudan, which I think has been incredibly important to be able to keep assistance flowing in. And the US has been quite engaged on the political front in terms of a humanitarian truce. But I think it's really important as an important humanitarian donor, an important political player, a permanent member of the Security Council, that the US and the US public continues to know about what's happening in Sudan and know about how the US can play a role in bringing light to the situation, in continuing to take action such as sanctions against individuals who have been fueling violations, but also to really push for continued support to the humanitarian response, to the response more broadly to this massive protection and human rights crisis. And this includes support to the very, very brave local organizations, the human rights defenders, the Sudanese volunteer organizations, who are at the front lines and who have continued to work to support their communities for over 3 years now, even though they're greatly at risk.
You know, Li Fung, we know that Trump indicated interest that was short-lived in a ceasefire, and his interest is usually short-lived in things that are not about personal aggrandizement. Is other than the United Nations itself, through you and others, is the international community showing concern for what you've described so vividly here, or is it the UN pretty much standing by itself as an institution?
think the international community has showed concern. It's voiced its concern. On the 15th of April, there was a Berlin conference on Sudan that was convened to make commitments, make humanitarian pledges. I think that this is important, but I think what is clear is that beyond the concerns that are being voiced, there's a strong need for concrete actions. And we have been saying this for some time as the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights. You have heard our High Commissioner for Human Rights who's said very clearly that it's time for concrete actions to address the protection of civilians. And this means stopping the flow of weapons that continue to kill civilians in Sudan, including drones and advanced weaponry. It also involves placing some pressure on various member states' partners that are continuing to provide military or other support, so that ends up in the hands of the parties to the conflict. I think that this is where really the political power needs to come in, to be able to accompany the concern about the massive violations, because it shouldn't have come as any surprise that as we documented in El Fasher, just over the course of 3 days, at least 6,000 people were killed just in that space of the 3 days. And the overall death toll was much higher. But we had been warning about this for over a year, about the risks of large-scale atrocities, ethnically targeted violence. And what was needed was strong political action to stop the flow of arms and to bring the parties to the table and to cut off support for the continuation of this war.
You talked about stopping the flow of weapons. I've been reading that there's a suspicion that many of these weapons are coming from the United Arab Emirates. They've denied it, but is that where the weaponry is coming from?
Which is a friend of the United States and the Trump administration, I should say. But go ahead.
I mean, I think that there have been various reports about the origins of weapons in terms of where they're produced. And also about where they're being transferred from. There is a Security Council sanctions committee looking at the arms embargo on Darfur, and there was a panel of experts report a couple of years ago which looked at the various countries that had been at the originating source of some weapons flows. But I think that it's not just. I think it's incumbent on all states who are producing weapons, who are selling weapons, and who are procuring them to exercise due diligence to make sure they are not ending up in situations where they will be used to further violations of international humanitarian law and human rights. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very clear that regardless of whether who the weapons are going to, that violations of international law are being committed in Sudan every day.
You're listening to BPR on GBH and NEPM, and we're talking with Li Fung. She is the top United Nations human rights official in Sudan. Li Fung, this may be beyond your jurisdiction, but Margie and I were talking this morning, as we often do, when we share our honest embarrassment about not knowing enough or even close enough about something this important. Do you want to opine on why the press has pretty much not covered this in this country, why the American people, I think it's safe to say, know next to nothing about it? Why do you think we're in that condition here? Do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenging situation because I think that people don't actually know much about Sudan. Globally, I think there's been a lot of crises in the past years. Ukraine, Gaza, and now Iran, and the Gulf. I think that Sudan seems far away to people. People don't understand it. They think it's a civil war in Africa where people are being killed, but they don't see how this affects their lives.
Well, I would also say, which I know you can't say, and I'm not saying you believe it, often when the color of the skin of the people who are suffering is not the same as the leaders of our country, we tend to prioritize other people's crises who look more like us. We only have a minute or so left, Li Fung. What can an average person who's watching you or listening to you, what can they do to ensure that the outcomes you're talking about, for example, the Security Council, that there is attention and aid given here? What advice would you give them of action?
I think it's continuing talking about the situation in Sudan, try to learn more about it, raise the voice, because I think it's very clear that we cannot sit by and watch these atrocities happen. And we cannot sit by and watch this country be torn apart for another year. I think that it's also to call for accountability, press for these issues in publicly, and also call for the leaders of the countries that they come from to be able to take action on this, just as they are taking action on other crises, but with a view to stop this. And that this is also, I think it's also trying to learn more about what are some of the drivers of the conflict. And I think that these are the issues that there's more and more discussions coming out about conflict resources, about gold, about gum arabic, which 80% of the world's market comes from Sudan. And these are products that are found in soft drinks, makeup, in all kinds of products that people are using every day. Have a think about it, that this is coming from a conflict context where people are profiting from these resources. Make noise about it. Ask to know more. And I think that then it will help to put pressure on these interests.
And you've helped a lot too. We really appreciate your time and your work, Li Fung. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for being with us. Li Fung is from the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, representative in Sudan. Thank you very much for your time. Coming up, a break from war, return to the local and the happier. We're going to talk to the garden lady, C.L. Fornari, about her new book, Hydrangea Happiness. She's next.
It's time to support Boston Public Radio on GBH. Listener contributions pay for the program and keep it on the air. You don't have to give much to make a difference. Please make a difference by giving now at gbhnews.org or by calling 888-897-9424.
So this is a new gift that you get if you give $10 a month or $120 all at once. And it's not only new, which is a good thing, but new for GBH, and I love this thing. It's a monocular, meaning you do a one-eye thing as opposed to a... Welcome back to Boston Public Radio. Mark Regan, Jim Browdy, live at the library, streaming youtube.com/GBH News. Tomorrow, State Auditor Diana DeZoglio, a day after an argument before the state's highest court, meaning today, about auditing the legislature. The other side of that, it's not fair to say, well, the other side of that case, at least, the AG will be with us to hear her side next Tuesday. And also tomorrow, Henry Winkler, the Fonz, who's an Emerson grad, he will join us tomorrow too. Now joined at the library by CL, compost lover, Fornari, better known to many as the Garden Lady. You can listen to her fabulous show, The Garden Lady, every Saturday at 1 o'clock on GBH and CAI. Her new book, Hydrangea Happiness, which you'll see in a second up there, is something of a farmer's almanac for hydrangeas, a garden favorite on the Cape especially. Welcome. It's great to see you, CL.
Oh, it's great to be back here again.
Thanks for bringing these gorgeous.
Yeah, they're gorgeous hydrangeas.
This is one of the newer cascading hydrangeas that breeders are doing, and it's an early flowering hydrangea. This one is called Fairy Trail Fresco.
Oh, I love it. Well, I love your descriptions of hydrangeas, flamboyant and shamelessly striking.
That's right.
So why did you do this book? I know you're down the Cape, and the Cape is like hydrangea central.
Well, we love hydrangeas on the Cape, certainly. And since I started the Hydrangea Festival about 12 years ago, it's sort of a natural outcome of that. I felt like, first of all, I wanted to do a book on hydrangeas. Secondly, I wanted to simplify this topic because it's a topic that many people are confused about because there are several types of hydrangeas and they all get treated differently.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, you have to know where to plant them, right? Some take the sun, sometimes can't take the sun, and it's a big deal. But I wonder why the Cape. Is it the sandy soil? Is that the reason they do well there?
It's a maritime climate.
Okay.
And a lot of particularly the blue mophead hydrangeas, they do best in a maritime climate. Warmer winters, cooler summers, well-drained soil.
But this winter we did not have a warmer winter.
We did not, and I was afraid that the hydrangeas had gotten zapped on the Cape.
I mean, when the temperature dips even for a night really low, right?
Well, when the temperature goes much below 10 degrees, those blue mophead hydrangeas, the buds get zapped and they don't bloom. And that causes great hydrangea hysteria.
That's right. That's right. Because some people have their entire house surrounded by them. Now, why don't you confess to what you said before we went on the air about hydrangeas?
Well, no.
Jim said they remind you of the grandmother plants.
Yeah,
that's what they are.
Okay,
Grandmother
well, you didn't have to disclose that. So, but since you did,
that's all right.
Pretend I'm a caller and I say something
wrong.
offensive like that. What would you say to me as a caller?
I would say your grandmother was a really nice woman.
One of them was, by the way. One of them was.
All right.
You know, I thought what she was going to say is when you were talking about if it dips below 10 degrees, you could lose the plant. We are like the core spectrum of gardeners.
Okay.
She loves it, but she's nervous a little bit about it. I am petrified. And the reason I don't garden, and you're the person to talk, are two reasons. One, I like instant gratification.
Sure.
But secondly, even if I can overcome instant gratification, I'm worried I'm going to overcome that. I'm going to do what you say. I actually read the whole book last night. And I say to myself, what happens even if I think I do all the right things if the good outcome doesn't come and I won't even know it for X amount of time? What do you say to someone like me?
Well, I say it's kind of like cooking a really, you decide to cook a meal. Sometimes it turns out delicious and sometimes it doesn't. You have to have the courage and the willingness to walk down a road when you create something, whether that's a meal or a piece of art or a piece of music or a garden, without knowing what the outcome will be, because it's more about the journey than it is the destination.
I love that. By the way, let me just
How
add,
about
you know what I would
children, Jim? It's sort of the same thing, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There are no guarantees in life.
Yeah, but you can't get rid of the children. You can't get rid of the flowers. Can I say what I would have done? I introduced you to Juliette Kayyem a few minutes ago. Juliette's line, I overheard her talking to you.
Yes.
She says, I am much more comfortable making mistakes. And that's got to be the attitude, as you said a minute ago, right?
You know, somebody recently online asked, what is the biggest mistake that beginner gardeners make? And I said one of the biggest mistakes they make is by thinking that when a plant or garden doesn't do well, it's their fault. Sometimes things don't live.
Yeah.
Sometimes a plant doesn't thrive. And then sometimes they thrive against all odds because it's the natural world. And part of being involved in the natural world successfully is admitting that we're not in control.
By the way, these are really beautiful.
They are gorgeous.
They are really
now,
beautiful.
That's a pretty plant, isn't it?
There has been a lot of talk now about heading into a drought, that we haven't had enough rain in March and April. So I'm like in a panic already about, you have all these flowers that you planted in there, and the daffodils that come up, the tulips that come up, a lot of them come up, more will come up later. But if you can't water them, that's the end.
Well, not necessarily. First of all, there are many plants that are quite drought tolerant. Nature would not design, a situation where everything dies if it doesn't get rain.
Yeah. Okay.
Some things might die, but not everything.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, emulate nature. You know how nature keeps things alive even during periods of drought is the leaves fall on the ground, they rot from the top down, and they help hold in the moisture. And so mulching or adding compost or not taking the leaves off of some of your beds, that can all help in a situation of drought.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
You know, you're a big advocate of the notion. By the way, the name of the book is Hydrangea Happiness, Planting, Pruning, and Blooming by, of course, C.L. Fornari. You're also an advocate, like do your own food kind of thing and how fresh and how fabulous it is. Our colleague, Zoe, who's back in Brighton, just did a piece for GBH about food forests, as they're called in the city, edible parks and gardens. She focuses on something called Boston Food Forests Coalition. Explain to the intimidated in the audience, me among them. Where do you start in the food for yourself growing? Where would you start if you were me so my confidence isn't broken?
Okay. Number one, you need to start with good soil. And whether that's in the ground or in a raised bed, you need soil that is loose. Number two, you need full sun. And number three, you need food that you like to eat. Don't plant a bunch of things because they look fancy in a seed catalog. Plant what you like to eat.
And so what are the things, I like to eat everything except, I don't like cold goat cheese, but I'm not going to be growing goat cheese.
No.
So assuming I like everything, what are the things that are most likely to have a positive outcome that I should grow on my deck out back, which has sun when it's sunny all the time, that will make me feel good?
Yeah.
And
Chard,
taste good.
Swiss chard.
Oh, I like Swiss chard.
Because you can harvest it all summer long by just cutting the older leaves and letting the small ones grow. So it's a crop that you can harvest from June into October. So number one, Swiss chard. Number two, if you like kale, Tuscan kale.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you could grow that easily.
Yes, or sometimes it's called dinosaur kale. And that's another plant that you cut the lower leaves and then let the top ones grow. I'm usually harvesting Tuscan kale in December and January.
What about basil?
Basil, yes, but look for a basil that is labeled DMR, which means downy mildew resistant.
Oh, okay.
We have a disease in the area that will kill basil, but there are basils that are resistant to it. So basil is good to grow. And zucchini is pretty easy too.
I love zucchini.
Yeah, so you should try zucchini.
Well, I do, Jamie. I mean, what are you laughing at? I love zucchini. Who doesn't love zucchini, right? Am I right? Good. By the way, we're talking to C.L. Fornari, who is the garden lady. Her show is on GBH and CAI Saturday at 1 o'clock, and we're talking in part about her fabulous new book, Hydrangea Happiness, Planting, Pruning, and Blooming, which, by the way, for the uninitiated, like me, has a fabulous glossary in the back.
It does, and
so
it
you don't
also
have to
has
be embarrassed.
beautiful pictures.
Yeah, it does.
I love the picture of the little cottage in Truro. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yes.
That almost made the cover.
It did.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful picture. And daisies on the other part of the garden that are they're native, right?
Yeah.
The daisies.
They aren't native daisies, but that doesn't matter.
Oh, okay, because I always feel that we're supposed to put native stuff. That's what we're supposed to plant to ward off drought and climate change,
well,
et cetera.
native plants can be, there are native plants that like a lot of water too. So
they're
not all drought tolerant just because they're native. But I think every landscape should aim for a high percentage of native plants. But diversity is the name of the game in your landscape, because as the climate changes, the native plants from 200 years ago are not necessarily going to be the plants that thrive today. And so, and having a diversity of plants that support pollinators, our native trees, specifically oaks and cherries, plants that make seeds for wildlife, plants that feed us, put food on our table, and plants like hydrangeas that lift our hearts.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to talk with our listeners before the end of the show about gardening. And I'm a very much a beginner, but I'm already like in a panic about what's going to live, what's going to die, how much do I water, what am I going to do wrong? I'm going to get the mandevillas, and maybe they're going to get those little alpha. What do you call those aphid things?
Aphids?
Yes, that you say, because I listened to your show.
What do you call aphids?
Aphids. They'll hurt the plants big time. You say you should spray them off. That's what
you can spray them off with a hard stream of water.
But so I feel like this is on the one hand it's supposed to be making my life better. On the other hand, I'm so stressed out about how I'm going to goof it up with the plants. So what do you tell people like me?
Well, I say take a breath.
Yeah.
Take a breath.
And realize that you are not growing plants to feed your family through the winter.
That's right.
Aren't we blessed?
We are.
We are so blessed that we are not growing, most of us are not growing the plants to keep alive.
Right.
And so it's for our own pleasure. That's number one. Number two, I would remind you to be flexible. I don't know if it's one of the Beatitudes that says, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall never be bent out of shape."
Oh, I like that. It should be one of the Beatitudes.
That's right. It should be one of the Beatitudes.
Yep.
But we're called upon to be flexible in life in general, but also in the garden.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you love hydrangeas and you want to have hydrangea in your garden this summer, should we go out and get one in a pot container like that, or what should we do?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because right now, the box stores and the supermarkets are filled with hydrangeas in flower. Those are all gift plants for Mother's Day.
Okay.
Those are not the plants that are good landscape plants.
Okay.
So if you want a hydrangea for your landscape, don't get it in the supermarket at this time of year or the box store. Go to your local nursery, your local garden center, and get a plant that is intended for the landscape.
All right. Okay, that's what we should do.
Yep.
You're listening to BPR on GBH and EPM. We're talking with C.L. Fornari, author of the new book, Hydrangea Happiness. You know, can I say where you live?
Sure.
Live in Sandwich, you told us earlier.
I do. I live on Cape Cod and Sandwich.
Can I tell you my favorite sandwich story?
I would love to hear it.
Do you know who Tom Ellis was?
Yes.
Tom Ellis is one of the great newscasters of all time. I was lucky. He worked at Channel 7 with Robin Young, our colleague, our good friend who happens to be on the air when we are on the air.
They called them the Dream Team,
and we love
remember?
Robin, and we love Tom, too. I worked with him at NECN for a while. Tom Ellis, every summer, would invite people in the media down. I was never invited. I wasn't, but whatever, down, and he would have a big lobster party there in Sandwich. Now, that is pretty appealing, right?
That's pretty appealing.
Except there was a problem. What the inside track, the two great colleagues of Marjorie in the old days at the Boston Herald reported was that one year when he had the Lobster Fest, when he was having people put the traps with lobsters on the sand so that people could choose their lobster and boil or whatever, his wife was liberating the lobsters and putting them back in the sea. Isn't that a beautiful image?
Go. Can this marriage be saved?
Exactly. Well, I think it was. I think it was a long and beautiful one.
Okay.
That is the voice of C.L. Fornari, Hydrangea Happiness.
Okay, so since the book is Hydrangea Happiness, let's talk about, give us a couple of the biggest, your last chapter, Myth, Lies, and all the latest dirt. What are the big mistakes people make with hydrangeas that you can prevent them from making?
Well, I think one of the big myths is about hydrangea color. That some people think that the blue color can be caused by rusty nails. That is not true. The blue color is caused by acidic soils. It's actually aluminum in the soil that the plant is able to take up when the soil is acidic. And in alkaline soils, the plant can't take up that aluminum and those flowers will be pink. But not all hydrangeas change color. Only the macrophyllus or the big leaf hydrangeas or the mountain variety change color. So
what's the easiest one?
the easiest one are the paniculatas.
Okay, paniculatas, remember that.
Panicle hydrangeas
Okay.
are the easiest. Second easiest would be one of the two native hydrangeas, the smooth hydrangea or the oak leaf.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you when you were giving me myths and lies. Any other big myth or lie that people should be aware of?
Well, let's see, what else?
Coffee grounds?
Well, I would say a myth, and I think I addressed it in the book, is making the internet now that banana water has some sort of woo-woo for plants. And people are taking jars and stuffing banana peels and soaking them in water and having this disgusting brew in their house because it's supposed to have some... And it doesn't have any special woo-woo for plants.
Yeah, but that's what I have for breakfast every day. It works out great. Can I tell you, I got to be honest here because this is a happy ending. Not only did I make the comment about his grandmother's plant, you had a great response. I was never in love with hydrangeas. However, reading your book last night changed things a lot. I really did change things a lot.
It's a million different
and
kinds.
two, seeing them up close as a plant kind of experience,
Yeah.
they are so incredibly full of life and they're beautiful. I mean, just totally beautiful.
They are beautiful. You can see why people have loved them in many countries for many years.
Can I say one last thing nice about you before you leave? I listen to your show, and I have to tell you, I have no interest in gardening. I'm going to try at some point. But you really grab people, even those of us who are not garden lovers like Marjorie Egan. You really do a wonderful job.
I'm a stressed out gardener, but I'm
Thank you. I appreciate
It
hearing
really
that.
is. Great show.
It is a great show. I love it. It's very, people are so into it, and the questions and answers, it's great. It's a lot of fun.
Good to see you,
Thank
CL.
you so much. We've been speaking
Wonderful
with
to be
C.L.
here.
Fornari, the Garden
Thank
Lady. You can catch her great show every Saturday at 1 o'clock on GBH and CAI. which is our sister station down in Falmouth, or wherever you get your podcast, because there's a podcast too. The new book, Hydrangea Happiness, which will make you very happy if you buy it and read it. We say goodbye to those of you listening on any PM. Make sure to tune in to Fabulous 413. They start at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We're going to keep going here in Boston after this quick break. Harvard's Juliette Kayyem. I'm Marjorie Egan. He's Jim Browder. You are listening to BPR GBH NEPM live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News. Welcome back to hour number 2 of Boston Public Radio, 89.7 GBH. Jim Browder and Marjorie Egan live from the Boston Public Library, streaming it online at youtube.com/GBH News. We want to mention that State Auditor Diana DiZoglio and Henry Winkler, we know him as the Fonz, is going to join us tomorrow. That will be in Brighton. Attorney General Andrea Campbell will be here with us at the library on Tuesday, May 12th. And after that brief, interlude with flowers and hydrangeas, we're back to the real world here.
Well,
Jim.
can I just say, I want to clarify something for people, too. There's a case being argued this morning before the state's highest court around an issue that's central to auditing the legislature and not auditing the legislature. The two parties are the auditor, she'll be here tomorrow with her lawyer, Shannon Liz Reardon, and the Attorney General, who'll be with us Tuesday, so you're going to get an up-close and personal sense of where we are. Joined now at the library by noted gardener, national security expert Juliette Kayyem. She's former Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security for Barack Obama, faculty chair of the Homeland Security Program at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, and CNN's senior national security analyst. Hello, Juliette.
Hello.
Nice to
and
see
that was
you.
a great segment.
She's
before.
great.
Yeah, she's wonderful,
great.
isn't she? Yeah, it makes me so
I've
happy.
taken up gardening later in life.
Are
and
you
I
really?
so enjoy it.
Oh,
yeah,
you
yeah,
are?
yeah.
Great.
The last 5 years.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great fun. But I was saying that you have to be very comfortable with mistakes. Like
we quoted you.
Yeah, oh, yeah. That I just am, you just have to make mistakes. And you also can't try to do it all in one day. Like I used to be like, oh, I have patches. Let me fill them. Now you take your time. It's
very
like
time consuming.
Yeah, but it's also like you wouldn't furnish your house before you moved in totally because you kind of want to. If you do, you tend to regret it because you want to see how you live in each room. That's my deep thought of the day.
Thank you.
By the way, every morning when we start the show, we say, how are we going to get through the next 2 hours? And Marjorie always says, you have to be comfortable making mistakes.
Yes. Is that?
It's the same notion.
And needless to say, I am comfortable making
Exactly,
mistakes because I've made
In fact, I'm an
5,700.
expert.
Yeah, I'm an expert.
But now we
Okay,
have
let's
this
get
beautiful
moving.
hydration in front of us.
Okay, so this has been kind of going on since this horrible war in Iran began. But now the war's over. But the war is not over. And we're going to a deal. It's a one-page deal. And gas prices are coming down. They're not coming down.
They're not coming down. No, that one we're not debating. They're not coming down.
Where are we, do you think, in this? I mean, I fear this is going to go on for weeks and weeks and weeks.
It's going to go on for weeks. The president is stuck. And we know that he's stuck because the victory keeps changing. So it started off as, remember when we were talking about nuclear weapons? Like, remember the good old days when we were, that's ridiculous. Like now Marco Rubio told the American public at the White House podium yesterday that the goal is to get Iran back to where it was. Like basically we've undone this thing. It wasn't the quick hit that Netanyahu or Donald Trump, I'm not going to blame Netanyahu, Donald Trump thought it would be. And now he can't unwind it because the Iranians, acting strategically, are now right? Isolating us. So we don't have an agreement from Iran that we will go unencumbered, or Western interests will go unencumbered through the navigational waters. That is a worse position than we were before. And from all accounts from our own intelligence, the leadership is the same. The population has probably gotten more radicalized. The Gulf states are mad at us. The Europeans can't stand us. The success is, if you want to crater the United States, that is what success is. And I'm not going to be shy about it, because what Donald Trump is trying to do is he's trying to confuse what the narrative is, so we stop looking at the consequences. The consequences are clear.
Well, it seems to me, I listed at the top of the show, and you weren't here, all of our objectives on February 28th, not one of which has been fully achieved.
Yeah.
From stopping a nuclear weapon to regime change to obliterating 100% of their offensive capacity. As you said, now the thing that we have to deal with is the thing that wasn't the problem, the straight beforehand. I hate to use the word optimistic because it's not quite right, but let me use it and you'll know what I mean. Okay. I think there will be a deal this week, because from what I read this morning, the deal is that we'll make a deal. You open the strait, we're going to stop bombing you, and in the next 30 days, which will become 90 days, which will become 120 days, we're going to negotiate the toughest restriction on your capacity, far better than Barack Obama, of course, to stop the enrichment of uranium to nuclear weapon capacity. Isn't that he's desperate to get out of this, and as long as he says, we've achieved all our goals, we're this close to the nuclear one, which we're going to negotiate out in the next few weeks, there'll be a deal. Isn't that what's going to happen?
Yeah, I just don't know, why would the Iranians agree to that?
Yeah, why would they give up the strait?
The reason for this delay is he can't get the Iranians to agree to anything. He says it's him. He says, I don't like that deal, whatever. He'll take anything. The problem is that he can't get around his head that the Iranians have interest. They are being very wise about that interest. They've now divided up the GCC. So you have Saudi Arabia basically at war with the UAE. So you don't even have a GCC alliance. They've gotten the populations of the Gulf states angry at us. That makes it harder for the royals, the monarchs, to control their populations, which generally they like to do. It's hard to tell.
Well, I'll tell you why they take the deal.
Let
me answer your question. The one thing that Trump has achieved with his port blockade is they are in an economic mess there, and they need these oil revenues. They need the 100-plus ships to go through. But let me just finish the thought and tell me if this is wrong. It seems to me you cut the deal that I just described, and you're Iran, and you know that there's no chance that Trump is going to ever resume hostilities, even if you never agree to a nuclear deal. He just wants to get out of this, pray the gas prices.
So why don't you think he has it?
Because I think it is the single most incompetent administration
I think it's
by a factor of 1,000.
He wants that deal so bad. There's an explanation why there's no other explanation.
So we'll never have a deal.
I think the Iranians want this to hurt a lot more, and the reason they want it to hurt a lot more is because they have got to make it hurt for us, because they need a very strong deterrence. And there's no other narrative that makes sense to me anymore. That why don't we have a deal? I'll quote myself. I was completely wrong. I said after the first weekend this will be over by Wednesday, but now if you follow the Iranians, they have to keep up the pressure, because they have to enforce deterrence, compel deterrence on the United States and Israel that we will never do this again. And the only way they can get that from the Trump administration, which is fickle, is to make it hurt as long as possible.
Why can't they just shut down the strait in a month if they need to again? Why can't they do Iran do exactly what they've done? They open the strait up, cut the interim deal.
But I'm saying there's a reason why they're not doing that. There's a reason why they're not cutting a deal with Trump. If you think that Trump's not cutting the deal, I have an island to sell you.
No, I agree with that part.
But I want to say something else. In the fog of war, I call it the fog of war of Trump's brain, right? Like I've never before had. You can understand the fog of war, what's going on. Like in his brain, we can't understand what's going on. I'm just, because I'm here with you, going to refute the notion that the Strait of Hormuz is closed. There are 3 tiers of boats going through now, or there's 3. It is now what like graduated, I would call it. So you've got the ones that are going through because they're Iranian or strong allies of Iran. You would then have the ones that are paying a price, the Europeans and others, and then you have the ones that are excluded, which are ours. Trump only talks about the third.
Ours in Western Europe.
Some Western Europe.
Who's
Some
getting
Western
through?
Europe. But so the Europeans are likely moving their stuff on other flagships because they're not idiots either. Like the idea that everyone has to wait for this guy, the only thing that Trump is proving to the world is they don't need us. That's not a great place for this country to be.
We're talking to Juliette Kayyem.
Anyway, so let's talk about hydrangeas again. Anyway.
Okay. Do you want to move on from this now?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. We had a caller before who was very upset about the profiteering and corruption. It's just that's what it is by the Trump sons, all sorts of wheeling and dealing, and the president himself. So. What are we to make of all this getting rich off the United States?
Yeah, it's so like there's this background thing going on with almost everything, every headline, or even not headlines, because it's so prevalent it's hard to even follow, which is just the rampant corruption led by Trump, but you have the Whitaker-Kushner line, which is your sort of foreign policy. You know, we're going to try to make deals as if we're national security specialists, but of course our families and everyone. And it's not just Kushner. I mean, it's Witkoff's son. Like it's like their families are just so corrupted and so for sale that no country could have confidence that they're acting in good faith. And I think
that's one of the problems with their being the negogators. Are they really the negotiators, Witkoff and Jarrett?
Well, I mean, now Marco Rubio is doing more. I think for that reason, because I think.
He's trustworthy after his record?
I mean, he does not have corruption on his hands.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So then you turn to the son. So I put Kushner and Witkoff in the our country is for sale.
Yeah.
I put the sons in the what I would call the our soldiers safety is for sale. What you are seeing the sons do, the brothers and the sons of Trump, is they are getting no-bid contracts from DHS and DOD, which goes to our safety and security here, drone manufacturers, robotics, all that stuff. And the crypto is sort of in the background, but the drone stuff is and minerals, all the stuff that's happening here. They'll invest in a mineral mine that then gets a no-bid contract. So they affiliate with a drone company. That drone company then gets a $500 million contract from DOD. No bid, no competition. Based on, in one case I figured out, it was a demo. Like they just put it up. This is stuff our soldiers are going to be using. They are going to be utilizing. And we don't know if they work. We don't know if they work in bad weather.
Didn't one company not even make robots?
The robotics, they got, I think it's Eric, I'm not sure which brother, 24 million small potatoes contract from the Pentagon for a robotics company they created that had zero history with robotics.
This is
$24
the DHS
million.
The DHS contracts are the same. I mean, if the Democrats win the House, what you want to do almost immediately is, because they have the power of the purse, is put a stop to all no-bid contracts, flat out. All no-bid contracts, and you make the agencies prove why that company, you start playing hardball, because this corruption stuff, this is the stuff that makes me think, like, are we ever going back to normal? Because the fact it's not being prosecuted, it's not being investigated. So if you're a House Oversight Committee, you put a stop to and you just define it as no-bid contracts, right? Some of them will be, $50,000, you don't care, it's just an easy, But these $500 million no competition contracts, and then you begin to unearth who they're connected to. That's right, but the corruption is such.
We're talking to Juliette Kayyem. No, we're going to come back. We're going to come back in a second. I want to talk to you about the $1 billion price tag now in the ballroom when we get back. But Juliette Kayyem is our CNN national security analyst. She's a Harvard person, too. I'm Marjorie Egan Houston Brady. This is BPR GBH live from the Boston Public Library, streaming at youtube.com/GBH News.
Live, local, 5 days a week. Jim Braude, Marjorie Egan, Boston Public Radio. It's here on GBH Radio because of your support. Now's your chance to keep the conversation going. Give online at gbhnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
Okay, now that we have no federal funding, it's more important than ever. If you like what you hear on our station, NPR stations all over the country, we are on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is a time to think about, particularly if you have not donated before, that maybe you could donate some money for what you're hearing when you tune into us at 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. But I want to point out, we have this really neat new thing, this monocle deal. It's a high-powered monocular telescope, Jim, and not only can I see you really well across the room, but the other thing is you can see all your neighbors if you want to look in their windows and that kind of stuff too. But the beauty of this...
It's not a monocle, by the way.
It's a monocular. Didn't I say that? Monocular telescope.
Juliette
Juliette's
wants
going to try it out.
Yeah.
But the deal is, it comes with this tripod for
she likes
stabilizing
it.
your view.
Yeah.
And it can act as a telephoto lens for your smartphone. So you attach the phone to the monocular telescope, and then you can take all these pictures like it's a telephoto lens. Those really heavy lenses you used to carry on cameras in the olden days, that's what this acts as. 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
$10 a month, $120. Look at this. You look fabulous with it.
It's really
By the way,
great.
Marjorie...
You look like a pirate.
People
Give
say
money,
Marjorie doesn't...
people. This is for a reason.
That's
right. People say Marjorie doesn't plan. That is not true. Marjorie, this morning, I want to give you credit for this. When we saw what the gift was, the thank you gift, Marjorie already gave me the addresses of every single neighbor's house she's going to be looking into with a binocular, which is great. It's half of the binoculars is the way you should look at it. $10 a month, $120 all at once. And again, the money is needed. Everybody knows what Marjorie said. The feds decided Trump couldn't deal with it, so the feds and his Republican Congress eliminated all federal funding. And this is a way to show you care about the work that our colleagues do at this station. It supports the on-air people. It supports the production, the wonderful people who make the shows possible, whose voices you don't hear every day. And all you got to do, it's really quick. And our experience is people tell us it feels pretty good to contribute to something you care about. Juliette's actually contributed quite significantly in the past. 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org. Okay, welcome back to BPR on GBH. Jim Braude and Marjorie Egan, live at the library, streaming youtube.com/GBH News. Continuing our conversation with Harvard National Security expert Juliette Kayyem.
Okay, I was amazed in Indiana last night that so many people voted for Trump-backed candidates. I don't know what they're seeing that I'm just not. Here we have this ballroom, and the president tore down the East Wing without asking anybody and got rid of a lot of great historical thing there. But we weren't going to be paying for it. The taxpayers weren't going to be paying for it. All these, the Tim Cooks of the world and all those rich billionaires are going to pay for it. Well, now it turns out the taxpayers are going to be on the hook for $1 billion, in addition to the many billions we're spending on this war, as everybody's struggling with their health care and their food prices and their gas prices, $1 billion for this ballroom, for security stuff.
Yeah.
Taxpayers.
Yeah.
I mean,
Are you surprised? I mean, the guy says, I'm not going to take a salary, and then he gets,
$4 billion.
$4 billion his family is worth now, or $3 billion more than before. That's with the B. So I'm not surprised. I guess I'm intrigued by why this issue, compared to war, compared to corruption, compared to immigration, like this issue, just at the polling I'm looking at, seems to have crystallized the antagonism, or seems to have crystallized some narrative about him that is taking hold. Like, this is wildly unpopular. And at the same time, that polling is up. At the same time, you're starting to see majority of Americans now think he is no longer physically or mentally able to be president. You're seeing his, he's anywhere from the mid-30s to the high 30s. He cannot break that 40 again. And so it's something about this issue. I think part of it is exactly what you said, which is this can't possibly be the one thing that gets the president of the United States excited. But it is. I mean, it's the one thing that you can see, like he gets animated. He doesn't get angry. He loves talking about the size and the chandeliers. And, and part of it is, as I said, I'm not a doctor, but, when you're with elderly people, they tend to focus on the things that they know very well. So he's sort of focused on the things that he knows very well. And so it's become this not surprising. I think the surprising thing is the extent to which this is not the House, this is the Senate Republicans put the $1 billion in under some guise.
But it's for security.
But it's security. I see the price tags for security planning. I cannot get you to $1 billion for a room, right? I could get you to $1 billion with the war. This is a secure space on a secure facility. You could put as many gizmos as you want in it to protect the president. You're not getting to $1 billion unless you're building an airplane down there.
Can I tell you why I think this is connected? I think you make a really good point. Why does war have less of a visceral kind of thing? One of the American people agree on almost nothing. I think one of the things that people agree upon is that this building is our government's house, not his house. And I think people of all stripes were offended by the notion that not only he did that, and it's all this gold gild, and then at the same point, even Chuck Schumer, arguably the worst politician of our lifetimes, a Democratic leader, I say in quotes, he made the point you made a minute ago, I thought quite well for a change, is this is their priority. $1 billion for a ballroom to appease a mentally challenged president who is self-enriching at the same time that you can't afford groceries to fill up your car. And
it's crystallizing.
It is so crystallized. No, it's totally clear.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And by the way, wait, we should be full. We should do a full disclosure thing. It's clear that this is for the ballroom. The security thing is BS. In the legislation the Senate Republicans proposed, the ballroom is not mentioned once. It's a scam.
Yeah.
But if someone says to you, well, it's not for the ballroom, that's what the words say, but everybody knows it's to help build the thing that he needs money for.
Well, you know what I've read a lot about this whole so-called great man theory, that what he's interested in now, because he knows he's going to be gone in a couple of years, is making himself immortal by having the ballroom that Trump built, the Arc de Triomphe that Trump built, his face on things like the passports in Washington, taking over the Kennedy Center, his name
all
on
of
things.
It's gone.
So it's
Day
part
one.
of what he...
all of it. I mean, if a Democrat wins, the candidate who's going to win is the one who...
Was it going to tear down the ballroom?
You're going to... Yeah.
You think so?
Are you... Oh, people... I'm not voting for a Democrat who doesn't say they're going to... That whole thing is just a joke. First of all, Jim, it's not going to be done by then because he gives it to all of his friends and they can't finish on time.
That's a good point.
But I think, I think day one is the course of everything. Do you know how you become a president that nobody forgets?
Well, he thinks by building monuments to yourself.
You're a good president.
Yeah.
No one forgets FDR. No one forgets Abe Lincoln.
Yeah.
You become immortal that way, and then people build things for you or write books or whatever because you're immortal. The books, the books that are going to be written about Trump are not going to be legacy books, or they're going to be the unwinding books, but they're not going to be this was a sustainable thing. But his sustainable legacy at this stage is having the corruption, the immigration, all that stuff. But I think as president is that he hastened the end of the American century and whatever. He just hastened it. I mean, it was going to happen anyway, but he just did it so horribly that it's now a sort of shock to the system for NATO, for EU, for everyone. So, and for our kids. I think about AI. Has there ever been a group of people so unprepared for such a major shift in our species than the people leading our government?
The Democrats are not prepared for AI or any technological
I think Democratic governors
either.
like our own are talking about workforce displacement, are talking about
I'm talking about members of Congress who are clueless. We only have a minute left. I just want to say there's nothing. We don't have time to talk about it. While people are celebrating the fact that this measles outbreak with 1,000 people in South Carolina is over, I just want to temper this by saying at the exact same time that the outbreak is over in South Carolina because the vaccination rate is going up.
Through the roof.
The organization that RFK Jr. used to run is lobbying in 21 states to eliminate vaccination requirements, and then he goes and lies to Congress about how he's not anti-vax So temper your happiness about the good outcome, ultimately.
Well, I have a secret to tell you.
What is it, quickly?
That you get rid of a measles outbreak by vaccine.
Well, that's what happened. That's what happened.
Who knew?
Okay.
All right, grow your hydrangeas.
Thank you.
You want the hydrangea book, by the way?
I
It's
know
a
I would
fabulous-
like that, but
We're
anyway,
not getting that.
I know.
Okay, fine.
I
No,
would.
that's not happening.
Okay.
bye,
She wants the
Thank
plan.
you
She's
very
not
much,
getting the
Juliette.
plan.
We have been speaking with National
Don't
Security
touch the
expert
plan.
Juliette Kayyem, a former Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security under President Barack Obama, the faculty chair of the Homeland Security Program at Harvard's Kennedy School of Government, and CNN's senior national security expert. Quick pledge break, and then we're going to talk to you at 877-301-8970 because we had CL Fornari here today about gardening. This is BPR and GBH 89.7.
It's time to support Boston Public Radio on GBH. Listener contributions pay for the program and keep it on the air. You don't have to give much to make a difference. Please make a difference by giving now at gbhnews.org or by calling 888-897-9424.
Yeah,
I
screw
don't
the
know
soup.
if it is, but... Oh, we're live? Okay, here's the deal. We're talking about lunch, and our apologies.
I said a bad word
Marjorie's
about the soup.
You did?
I said, screw the soup. I guess that's not that bad.
You didn't mean that it was bad. We love the soup.
No, I
You
changed my
just meant
mind.
You wanted carrot
I like
cake
the soup
instead.
here, but I
Okay,
decided to
fine.
go for the
Okay.
carrot cake,
Okay, in
healthy
any case,
lunch.
Okay, good. It's the beginning of a spring pledge, and 888-897-9424 for gbhnews.org. And we actually not only have a new gift, which makes me very happy, but a fabulous gift. What is it called? Hold it up.
It's the monocular telescope. I think I pronounced it right.
What do you use it
Well,
for?
what you do is, you can use it for birding, which I think is a very
Marjorie
soothing.
right there?
Yeah, here it is, right
They
here.
have a QR code we have for the first time here? Oh, my God. If you're on YouTube.
You look through this, and it's great. It's like half a binocular. But the thing that's a real great feature is that you attach this to your smartphone. And then you use it as a what do you call that word? Telephoto lens.
Yeah,
You
that's what you
telephoto lens
call
for your
it.
smartphone,
Two
and it's a
words.
really neat thing. So if
That
you
is.
go where you put it on a tripod, you're looking at something, whether it's a bird or your neighbors or whatever you're looking at, you can take a picture. And it will be like through a telephoto lens. It's a really neat
Can I tell you one thing?
$10 a month.
$10 a month, $120 at once. And if you're
Yeah.
Marjorie, $10 a month, $120 at once. And if you have to hire somebody for $200 to attach your phone to the monocular, it's 888-897-9424, GBH News. It's not only a great gift, but for what we hope you agree is a pretty important cause. Welcome back to BPR and GBH on 89.7 GBH. Marjorie Egan, Jim Browdy. We're live at the library, streaming online at youtube.com/GBH News. Big argument, oral argument today at the state's highest court. On one side, the auditor. She'll be here tomorrow. The other side, the Attorney General, Andrea Campbell, who, by the way, told us she voted for the question that would allow the auditing or require the auditing in the legislature, but they're on different sides on a really important issue we'll explain. And Henry Winkler, who doesn't care if we audit the legislature, the former Fonz, will be with us tomorrow ahead of his commencement speech at Emerson. We're trying to balance out the show a bit, so the rest of our time we're opening the lines to talk about the garden. The threat of, well, we don't have to even say this. We just had CL Fornari here. She has this fabulous book, Hydrangea Happiness. She has a wonderful show called The Garden Lady, and we figured since we are polar opposites on this thing, well, actually, we both would like to have wonderful gardens. And by the way, I have a wonderful garden because we hire somebody who's fabulous. We can say Stephanie Gordon. She's terrific.
That's right.
She helps you out, too.
I hired her, too.
You have enough confidence.
No, I don't.
But you do some gardening your own.
I do some.
I don't have the confidence to do this. And we want to know where you are on the gardening spectrum, what your fears have been, what your successes have been. And you also remember the discussion we had, I think it was last year. Marjorie was really upset because of that little sidewalk plot outside the house. The neighbor's dogs were peeing in it.
Oh, that's right.
Which is what dogs do.
I had to put up a fence.
Did you really put up a fence?
Yeah, well, it's a low fence. You go like to Home Depot or wherever you go and you get a little fence and you put it up so they can't get in there.
Well,
yeah.
that's rather cruel.
It's not cruel. They can go.
What are they supposed to do?
There's grass all over the place, and there's like people. A lot of people don't even bother. The strip between the street and the sidewalk. In a lot of streets they have that. It's about 4 feet wide and about 15 feet long. A lot of people just have dirt there, so
Selfish
the dogs
on
can
your
go
part.
there. Well, I feel an obligation now in my neighborhood because I did hire Stephanie, and she's wonderful.
She's wonderful.
And she helped me out a lot, and she put up a lot of flowers, so I have a lot of pretty flowers right now. But I'm really nervous about maintaining it, because it's time consuming, and you have to kind of have some idea what you're doing, which is why CL's show is so great, because you can ask questions and read a book, and she'll tell you everything you need to know about hydrangeas. But it's hard, and so I feel like I got to get the mandevillas to my porch because I've had them every year, and all my neighbors say how pretty they are. But I'm already stressed out because you got to plant them, you got to put them in the thing, you got to make sure they don't get
Also,
aphids.
death is likely to happen.
Death is likely.
I had a goldfish when I was a kid. It died practically as soon as I took it out of the box to put it in the tank at home.
Right, that's right.
You know how many goldfish I had after that?
None.
None.
Yeah,
because I couldn't handle it.
Well, you're
and the same
traumatized.
problem with you have to. What's the line that Juliette said when I introduced her to CL? You have to be comfortable making mistakes with the garden. I'm not quite there yet. We want to know where you are on the gardening spectrum. 877-301. 8970 is our number.
And this is another thing. Heather in Medford just says, listen to this. Squirrels, rabbits, birds, and rats have taken out everything I've planted. Rabbits are brutal. I love bunny rabbits. They're adorable. What?
Rabbits ate all the crap, all the pretty stuff.
Yeah.
Stephanie comes over, puts up like an 18-inch fence. You know how many rabbits I have? None.
You just criticized me for putting up a fence and said it was cruel.
Well, I'm talking about you. I'm not talking about me.
Okay.
And by the way, I don't block my sidewalk plot. If a dog wants to pee on the sidewalk plot, they can. They just can't. By the way, they can pee in our garden. They just have to jump over the fence to go.
So what have you got the fence around? What is it you have?
The whole garden in the front of the house.
Oh, okay. So he criticizes me for putting a fence up by the sidewalk, and he's got
I should also say, in the spirit
garden.
of full disclosure, because I'm not crazy about being visited without notice, I have a fence in front of my front door, too. 877-301-8970. Marjorie is always getting us off course. We just want to know, what's your gardening experience? How much joy does it bring you? Are you as anxious about it as I am, which is why I don't do it? You are anxious, and you do it, which is really admirable.
I know, but I wish I were less anxious.
What's your
about it.
greatest
Doug
triumph? Before we get to Doug, what's your greatest triumph?
My mandevillas, because I have a small porch with balustrades. So what happens is you buy 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 mandevillas, and then they start to weave themselves through the balustrades. So by
that's great.
like July or August, the whole porch is covered in these flowers. It's
What's that yellow
fantastic.
thing we were talking to our buddy about last night?
Aphids, whatever you call them.
Whatever they are.
And they start to kill aphids, and they start to kill the plant.
Aphids.
And I think I over-attacked the aphids, and I not only killed the aphids, I killed the plant.
That's nice. What's the name of that yellow plant you and I were talking to our friend about last night? No. We went through this last night. We're talking to a good friend of ours. All three of us couldn't think of the name of the thing. You looked it up. What's that beautiful yellow thing? Not a plant, like a bush kind of thing.
Chrysanthemums?
Thank you.
No, it's not chrysanthemums.
Forsythias. Thank you, Zoe. This is pathetic. Doug in Mansfield, you're first. Welcome to the show. We're talking gardening, one of our areas of great expertise. Hi.
Hi. My solution was to actually join the gardening club of Mansfield, Massachusetts.
You did?
Yes.
And what's that like?
It's really wonderful. It's a great way to socialize. It's a great way to learn about flora that you don't know about. And it's a great group of people.
Okay, now, are you retired?
Yes.
I think that's one of the things. It's time-consuming, is it not, Doug? I think you have to be retired, or else you have to be growing up.
That's not true.
You don't think that's true? Or you have to grow up. One of my best friends grew up with her father was a cop, and he was a big gardener, and every Saturday before they could go out and hang out with their friends, he made them work in the garden for about 4 hours. And you know what that means? She's a fantastic gardener. She knows everything about it. My parents did not garden at all, so I learned nothing.
Wait. The way to find out is, Doug, prior to your retiring, were you gardening?
Not really.
Oh, well, I guess Marjorie's right then. Not so much for that. Doug, excellent
but
first
that's a
call.
good idea.
Thank you.
When I retire, I'll join the gardening club, and that would be great. You know what's great when they have I don't know where they do it now, where they have the big garden show. You go over and you see all the beautiful flowers and all the beautiful plants, or you go to a place like that sells flowers and plants like
I
mahonies.
went to a tulip farm a couple of years ago, and we picked like hundreds of tulips. You pay like a flat amount, and you pick tulips.
Isn't that neat?
Well, the problem is they die too.
They die too. They die too. I'd like to have a butterfly garden, but there are certain plants that attract butterflies. I mean, how neat is that? You're out in your yard, you can see all the butterflies going in to get close to your flowers. That's really cool.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you put this picture of an aphid up on the screen here? Because it's really...
Yeah, that's what I attacked.
What is the problem with an aphid again?
They were starting to kill
your stuff?
Yeah, they were killing the mandevillas, and so it said you should go after them with milk, and you should go after them with certain neem oil, and I think I got carried away. Steve from Rhode Island, thank you for calling.
Yeah. Hey, how are you?
Excellent.
I'm fine. I'm worried about my plants.
Don't be worried about it. They're just plants. Plants die, plants live.
I know, but
that is healthy.
It's healthy, but I can't get there, Steve.
Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I have a fence around our asparagus. You have plants it in the ground. It takes 3 years to be able to eat it all summer long, but we have a groundhog, and it keeps eating our asparagus, so I had to put a fence around it.
Yeah, that's the normal procedure, is to put a fence around it, isn't it?
Well, wait a second. But Steve has the issue. I said to CL before, instant gratification is why I have a gardening problem. What were you saying when you 3 years earlier said, I'm going to plant these, and they're not going to be at full whatever for 3 years? Was that not off-putting to you?
No, not at all, because just the way you have to do with the asparagus, because it takes 3 years for the roots to establish. And you let them grow into ferns, and then you have ferns in your backyard instead of asparagus.
Listen to this. You are really a grown-up. Steve, thank you very much for the call. That was very much...
And you need to plant garlic, too.
You do? How long does that take to happen?
You plant the clove around Thanksgiving, and then they're the first thing to come up in the spring.
Oh, my God. That I could do. Hey, Steve, thanks for the call. Appreciate it.
Listen to Kara on Cape Cod like Steve. She sounds very happy. I'm replacing all my non-native and invasive plants to support wildlife and stopped removing the dead leaves. You should see my fireflies in the summer. How about that?
Fireflies, how beautiful are they, by the way?
They're gorgeous.
Did you capture them in bottles when you were a little kid?
I did.
They're poison?
It was kind of mean not to do that.
They're poison?
No, I was talking about David Mattapoisett.
Oh, boy, Mattapoisett.
David Mattapoisett says, there is a small corner in hell with a garden in it for me. I don't know if that means he likes gardening, or he hates gardening, or he's tormented by gardening. One or the other.
You want to hear a beautiful text from Pete
Yes.
H. in Washington, D.C.? Gardening, love it. It's awesome. What I do, I plant seeds of fear and death in the minds and hearts of the enemy. Feels awesome. And then Zoe, our colleague, my partner who we know, has been at war with the rabbits since we moved to Raleigh. Last year, he bought coyote piss on the internet. And it is what it is, friends. Don't recoil. And sprayed it all over our yard. So what's the end of the sentence? Did it work?
We don't know.
We don't. Oh, it did not work.
Okay.
So what is the point?
Well, we have a text from
She just said it doesn't work.
from a horticulturist who has a suggestion for rabbits.
Take a break.
We have to take a break.
But finish the thought.
I'll tell you afterwards.
Oh, that's a great tease.
Keep you in suspense about how to keep the rabbits away. It's a clever radio trick.
What a ruse.
We'll be right back after a quick break. You're listening to BPR on GBH and NEPM. No, not NEPM right now. We'll be right back.
Boston Public
talk about spying on her neighbors, and before she
somebody
does,
got upset about it. You see, they just sent us a text.
I don't care.
They didn't like it. They
You
said
do
it
what
was
you-
not
You do what you
funny.
think is the right thing. Well, it is what it is, Marjorie.
Okay.
Here's
There
Meredith.
they are.
Meredith,
See the text?
No, I didn't see the text.
Yes.
Meredith in Boxford says, love all the shows on GBH. Jim and Marjorie bring a smile every day. My weekends are more enjoyable with Wait, America's Test Kitchen, and the Garden Lady. Thanks for all you do. A lot of people like that. We hope you contribute whatever you can. And if you have enough cash lying around for $10 a month or $120 all at once, you can get this fabulous monocular telescope, which Marjorie will describe. I think is this QR code new? Have we ever had this before? We keep saying call 888-897-9424.
There's a QR code.
It also
You're
says,
right.
or go to gbhnews.org. Whether it's new or not, this is great. If you're watching on YouTube, just do the QR code, and you can contribute through that. But contribute if you can, whatever you can give. If it's $5 once because you're having a tough financial time, that's fabulous. And if you're doing great, then give more than $10 a month and $120 at once, whether you want the monocular or not. 888-897-9424, gbhnews.org.
Did you read Molly from Medford?
Nope.
This is a great one. I've been a zealous public radio listener for my entire life. I'm now in my 50s. Public radio is such a huge and deeply important part of my life, and honestly, I'd be lost without it. Many radio voices are familiar, a comforting part of my life and routines, informing me, broadening my perspective, fueling my imagination in ways that only radio can do. Thank you for the wonders you bring to listeners like me. Wow. That was really nice.
Well,
Thank you
really
very
nice
much,
you
Molly.
mention us, but
from
it was
Medford.
very, very nice. I'm not supposed to say that? No, it was really nice other than that.
888-897-9424 gbhnews.org.
Is this our last segment? Oh, this is
Yes.
the last segment. Welcome back. Thank you
Yep.
to whatever this thing is. PPR on 89.7 GBH. Marge Vegan and Jim Brady with the library. By the way, Maddie, we now have a photograph because we've talked about it nonstop. Marjorie has, even though she called it an avid. It's not an avid. It's not an avid. It's an aphid. Here's a picture. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
That is like
It's a
frightening.
killer.
It is frightening beyond compare.
But when they're on your plants, they look like
Yeah.
little white things,
Okay, fine.
and they kind of,
Yeah, that's great.
then all of a sudden you have hundreds of them.
That's not helpful. Okay,
here's
now
the
here's
rabbit person, the horticulturist.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I am a professional gardener and horticulturist.
You are?
I can suggest for rabbits switching up different all-natural repellents that are granules. They only need to be put out after it rains. Also, plant perennials that rabbits generally stay away from, like yarrow, Joe pieweed, Culver's root, and other native New England plants they tend to leave alone. And that's it.
Okay, well, that's really interesting.
Okay.
Now, here is Zach Galifianakis on his new Netflix show. It's called, this is a trailer for it, This is a Gardening Show. Here it is.
If I were to offer a remedy to the human condition, it would be a garden. Or acid. The way we get food is so perverse right now, I think it's worth talking about it. Without sounding stupid, what is a tomato? And what we're leaving this next generation, they may have to know this stuff. What's your favorite fruit?
Kale.
Kale's not a fruit. Can you look at me and go, that's fascinating?
That's fascinating.
This is a food gardening show with your host, Zach Galifianakis.
Exactly. And let me just say, he is no garden lady. Let's go to Jenny in Concord. We're talking about gardening, the pros, the cons, the whatever. Hi, Jenny.
Hi. I'd like to talk about the mistakes being made.
Oh, excellent.
So one day, I decided to garden, so I took a shovel and I just started digging up my front yard. And my husband said, that's not how you do it.
Oh.
I said, sure, I'll just flip over the grass and then the grass will die. And he said, no, the grass will continue growing. But I was adamant that I was going to do it correctly. So about a week later, the grass started growing again. And I didn't want him to be right, so I borrowed my neighbor's flamethrower and I burnt all the grass and weeds. So everything was dead. And I had a wonderful garden that summer. And it's a very natural way to kill weeds.
Wait a minute. You took a flamethrower to the whole front of your garden, and then the garden turned out beautifully?
Yeah. Well, pretty much, just like a large portion of it, not everything, but a significant amount. And I don't know what caused the soil to become very nutrient, but it was successful.
What did you
And my
get?
husband,
Did you
he
get that
did
at
not
a
know.
used flamethrower sale at the Department of Defense? Where did,
it
that's where
was
you
a
found.
neighbor.
Oh, it was a neighbor. Okay, Jenny,
Yes,
that was a beautiful story. Actually, I really like that. Thank you for sharing your experience with us. That was pretty great. 877-301-8970 is the number. Want to take call?
Anyone can garden, Jim, if you're afraid of making mistakes. I don't know if live radio is right for you.
Can I tell you, that's a good comment. Let me explain better than I did before we get back to the calls. I don't mind at all making a mistake when the mistake is evident. I mean this sincerely, immediately. because you know the consequence of your behavior, whether it's on the show, it's doing something, an arts or crafts thing or whatever. The notion that you have to do something and then wait 3 months or 2 years till you figure out if you failed is too... It's uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
If you're going to fail, get it over with and move on to the next thing.
But see, plants are very tricky. Like, I planted a rose bush a couple of years ago.
You did? How'd that go?
Yes. Well, I thought it had died.
Oh.
But I thought, I'm not going to take it out. I'm going to see what happens. And I nurtured it, and I watered it, and I put mulch around it. And it came back. I thought it was dead. And that's one of the things C.L. Fornari talked about with the hydrangeas, because it was so cold that you have to look and see. You might think that they have black bulbs instead of green little knobs on them.
I thought black bulbs means they're dead.
Well, she said they're not necessarily dead, and they can survive sometimes through. They may not be good this season, but they'll be good next season.
Marjorie said, which by the way, hopefully will make the person who was angry before who texted, when she uses a monocular to look into her neighbor's houses, if she sees a hydrangea plant that looks at risk, she'll text them or leave them a note about how they should address that.
That's right. Yeah, the person didn't like the idea of spying on your neighbors. Jackie's
spying is the wrong word.
Spying.
By the way.
Well, you're not spying. You're looking
checking in on.
You're looking to see how they decorate their house.
Exactly. How
That's
are
what
they?
you do.
How
they have things matched. They look well. Jackie and
Oh,
Seacock.
Mr. McGillicuddy is naked yet again. Okay.
Not that kind of looking, Jim.
Whatever.
Jackie in Seaconk. Thank you for calling.
Turn the radio down. Yep, turn the radio down. Apparently not. Okay, let's put Jackie on hold. Jackie, you got to turn the radio down. That's the way this thing here works. Let's go to Carol in Rhode Island. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Jim and Marjorie. So this is the kind of gardener I am. If I like the flower, I stick it in the ground. If it survives, great. If it doesn't, tough luck. It's gone.
I love this.
Oh,
woman.
Jackie.
The kind of
this is
flowers
Carol.
I've had strawberry bush, blueberry, trumpet vine, bleeding roses, hydrangeas 3, peonies, Siberian and bearded irises, and daylilies, and hostas.
Wow.
So
you're really successful.
If it survives on its own, I'm happy. That's how I do it.
And it doesn't bother you if you have a garden full of dead plants?
Not dead. They all survive.
Oh, they do all survive. Oh, okay.
These are the ones that have survived with my method.
That is another.
Stick them in the ground. They're on their own.
Well, okay.
This
you gotta
woman's
water
attitude
them,
is
Carol.
fabulous.
You gotta water them, right?
No, really. She's
No?
fabulous.
You don't water them. What do
Why?
Yeah, you gotta water them. I mean, I'm worried about the drought. The drought is going to be coming soon.
Carol had a couple of kids. Carol said, well, they're here. Good luck. Let's see what happens.
But there are certain ones. Yeah, that's right.
Check
but there are
back
certain
in.
ones that just kind of go like certain daisies. You plant
I
some
like
daisies,
daisies.
and they sort of will take off and spread.
What are
That's
those
really
daisies
nice too.
with the different
Black-eyed
color-
Susan.
Love
will-
black-eyed
Yeah, they
Susans.
will take off and spread. So
Yeah.
that's kind of neat. And hostas are very
Who?
hostas.
What the hell are they?
Hostas. They're green plants, but they're very pretty, and it's hard to kill. They do quite a. They will do quite well no matter
I know.
what you
I can
do.
see the look on your face. You're about to take a call, but the show's over.
Hosta, what we call Jim behind his back.
That's not that funny.
Okay.
Okay. In any case,
Jackie's back.
No, we're done.
Oh, we're done. Oh, I'm sorry, Jackie.
Call next time we talk about gardening.
Yeah,
we're done,
I'm sorry.
Unfortunately.
Okay.
No, or call the garden lady this weekend.
That's right.
1
She's on
o'clock
at 1 o'clock on
Saturday.
Saturdays.
It's really a good show.
She knows everything. You see,
Well,
she
she
knows
also has
everything.
a very engaging attitude.
Yeah, she does, and she
She's
brought
really-
that wonderful hydrangea. And she said it was for me, Jim.
Before you thank, I knew this. I really knew we were going to have a battle over this. But in any case, I want to mention what I mentioned yesterday. I had the wrong day. Our buddy Lucy Whiteman is doing a thing tonight, free at the library at 6 o'clock. But you have to register. You Google Princess Cheyenne and the Boston Public Library. She's talking about her book, which is great. Sort of a memoir, the first half of her life. Princess Cheyenne, My Life as Boston's Most Famous Stripper. It's great. 6 o'clock tonight here at the library.
Okay. Thank you very much for listening to another edition of Boston Public Radio, and thanks for people that came down
Thank you all. We
to
appreciate
the
it.
Boston Public Library. Tomorrow we're going to be joined by Emerson graduation speaker Henry Winkler. We know him as the Fonz. He's going to be here. Plus, State Auditor Diana DiZaglio and her attorney Shannon Liz Reardon. You maybe remember her. She ran for governor, right?
No, she ran for Attorney General.
Attorney General. I knew she ran for something.
Something.
Anyway, she's going to be here
Close enough.
tomorrow. on the heels of their oral arguments in the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court, which was just today, over auditing the legislature, which I know a lot of people are very interested in, plus our BPR All-Stars, Andrew Cabral and Shirley Leung. We want to thank our crew, Zoe Matthews, Hannah Loss, Nicole Garcia, Ariana Gonzalez, our engineer, John LaClaw Parker, our executive producer, Jamie Bologna. Lots of people text to say about Jamie's laugh. They love your laugh, Jamie. Special thanks to our BPL staff, Maddie Geyer, Bill Francis, Juan Jose Cadena, our host at the Newsfeed Cafe and across the street at the Lennox Hotel. Stay tuned to the Curiosity Desk, which starts right after us here on 89.7 GBH with Edgar B. Herwick III.
Exactly.
And then at 2, the Culture Show begins here too. Thank you with Jared Bowen. Thank you very much for tuning in. Ha ha ha. You know what you have to know? You know what you have to be used to if you're on live radio, Jim?
Being comfortable
Making a
with
lot of
mistakes.
mistakes. That is right. I am very comfortable. That's who I am. What can I do? See you later.
Bye.
And you are listening to Boston Public Radio here on 89.7 GBH. It is 12:55. I'm Sonia Lee. I'm here with Melissa Jones. It is the first day of our spring membership drive. It's going well, and we are calling on Boston Public Radio fans right now to help us wrap up the show successfully. It's been going great. Jim and Marjorie are all over the binocular. We'll tell you about that in just a moment. But right now, to keep on track and to end the show successfully, 15 contributions. That's what we need, 15 people to give in the next 5 minutes. And your contribution goes directly into keeping BPR on your radio. We can't do it without you. GBHnews.org, 888-897-9424.
Well, I'm going to tell you about the monocular. It's when you give $10 a month right now, we'll thank you with this amazing gift. It's high-powered monocular telescope. It's great for birding, whale watching, stargazing. It's got its own tripod to stabilize your view. You can use it as a telephoto lens for your smartphone. I can't wait to take moon photos with this thing. It's going to be amazing. Find out how amazing it is and how great it feels to be a member when you give right now and get us to that goal before the end of this hour. $10 a month, $120 all at once. The deadline for this awesome gift is at 7 o'clock tonight, but don't delay. Do it now. GBHnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
All right, since the elimination of our federal funding, almost all of our operating budget right now comes from community support, and your contribution added with others is how we're going to keep this independent source for journalism on the air and available to all. This is the only way we can keep programs like Boston Public Radio on the air these days, is with the help from the community, the people who love Jim and Marjorie, who love this station. We ask you to pitch in. The government isn't going to do it, folks. We know that. So it's up to us. Will you give now? GBHnews.org, 888-897-9424.
We're hoping that you're going to take this moment right now and reflect on how much you've listened to GBH in the past few months, and then become a member or renew your membership if it's been a while. You're going to be joining a group of committed listeners who make a difference in our community by making sure that this valued, treasured resource continues on the radio for all in Boston. GBHnews.org or 888-897-9424.
Thank you to Fan in Cambridge. Also, Melissa in Little Compton, Rhode Island says, my go-to for the truth. It's a lifesaver. Thank you, Melissa. Hey, this is terrific. We're down to 11 contributions, just 11 more people to give in these final few minutes. Please give as generously as you can to support your Boston Public Radio listening. GBHnews.org, 888-897-9424.
And I want to send another thank you out to our friend Brownie in Maine. He left this great message. Love BPR and Jim and Marjorie. I listen almost every day. Great mix of information, discussions of the day, and humor. Glad to support it. Brownie, thank you so much. We are so glad to have you on board with us. Thank you for doing your part. How about you? We're looking for 6 more people in just the next few minutes. Join in with Brownie and all the other great folks that have been supporting with your contribution in whatever amount that works just right for you. GBHnews.org or 888-897-9424.
And if you want to get the monocular and support BPR, you only have a couple more minutes to go. The monocular, $10 a month as a sustaining member, a one-time gift of $120 will send you that high-powered telescope. Great for any kind of watching you want to do, stargazing, sporting events, whale watching, and it's even got a cool little tripod for stabilizing your view, and put your smartphone on it. Get the monocular. Help. Hey, this is great. We're down to just a couple more fans to give here in these final minutes of Boston Public Radio. You can give easily. GBHnews.org, 888-897-9424.
From the stories of centuries past to discoveries that will define our future, How Did We Get Here's how-tos and more. Journey with us down the rabbit hole on the Curiosity Desk. Coming up next on GBH 89.7.
Support for GBH comes from you and Cambridge Trust, a division of Eastern Bank, dedicated to helping individuals and businesses pursue their financial goals with a full range of banking and wealth management services. Learn more at cambridgetrust.com. And M&M Skylights, located in Stoneham, installing and servicing the full range of Velux skylights that can help bring air and more natural light into homes. Skylight consultations can be scheduled at mmskylights.com.
You're listening to 89.7 WGBH HD1 Boston. Online at gbhnews.org. GBH News. What matters to you?
Live from NPR News, I'm Lakshmi Singh. Iran's Revolutionary Guard is offering safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz, but its online message today does not specify new terms for letting commercial vessels through the major shipping route. NPR's Eba Trawi says Iran announced its proposal today after President Trump paused a U.S. military effort to guide merchant vessels through the strait.
The operation, called Project Freedom, began Monday with the U.S. Navy guiding just 2 U.S. flag merchant ships through the Strait of Hormuz, but not before several Iranian Revolutionary Guard speedboats were sunken. Iran then fired at the U.S. Navy and launched missiles at neighbor, the United Arab Emirates, threatening a month-long ceasefire. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said on Tuesday the operation was, quote, a gift from the U.S. to the world to secure commercial shipping. But later that day, Trump declared the operation paused. He cited, quote, great progress toward a final deal with Iran, but said a blockade on Iranian ports remains in place. Ending that blockade is a key Iranian demand. Aya Batrawi, NPR News, Dubai.
And President Trump has just said that Iran wants to make a deal. His comments came during a military Mother's Day event at the White House. Primaries in Indiana and Ohio yesterday reaffirmed that President Trump still wields heavy influence over the Republican Party, while Democrats remain energized heading into the midterm elections. NPR's Stephen Fowler has this analysis.
Last year, a handful of Republican Indiana state lawmakers blocked a push to redraw the state's congressional boundaries. A slate of Trump-backed challengers pushed out 5 of the 7 incumbents targeted in the primaries. Another race is currently separated by just 3 votes. In Ohio, there weren't competitive primary contests for governor or U.S. Senate, but both are expected to be expensive and contested in November's general election. One reason, Trump's rising unpopularity. Another is Democratic enthusiasm, where every state that's held a primary so far this year has seen a surge of Democratic turnout compared to prior midterms. Stephen Fowler, NPR News.
New studies out on the tsunami that sent water more than 1,500 feet up the sides of an Alaskan fjord last year. NPR's Rebecca Hersher has the latest details.
The tsunami in Tracy Arm Fjord near Juneau happened early in the morning last August. No one witnessed it firsthand. Now, a study conducted by more than a dozen scientists finds that the so-called mega tsunami was extremely powerful. It destroyed trees and other vegetation hundreds of feet up the steep sides of the fjord. The study was published in the journal Science. The wave was triggered by a landslide next to a glacier, which is rapidly melting because of climate change, making the area unstable. The authors warn that more research is urgently needed to predict when and where such tsunamis will happen in the future. Rebecca Hersher, NPR News.
This is NPR.
Good afternoon. With the latest from the GBH Newsroom, I'm Henry Santoro. Well, the Green Line C branch is closed for the next 12 days till May 18th. As GBH's Jeremy Siegel reports, the T is installing new equipment to make rides safer.
Shuttle buses are replacing most Green Line service between Kenmore and Cleveland Circle, unless you use the St. Mary Street, Kent Street, or Brandon Hall stops. In that case, you'll need to grab the shuttle at the next closest station. The T is warning riders they should budget for extra time. Trips from Cleveland Circle to downtown could take 15 minutes longer than usual. This closure comes as the T installs its new Green Line protection system to enforce speed limits and prevent collisions. Jeremy Siegel, GBH News.
The identity of a Massachusetts State Police trooper killed by a wrong-way driver in Lynnfield this morning has been released. He is 30-year-old Trooper Kevin Traynor. According to the state police, the crash that killed Traynor happened on Route 1 in Lynnfield about 2 a.m. A driver was traveling south in the northbound lane, struck the state police cruiser the Traynor was in. The driver of the wrong-way vehicle was also pronounced dead at the scene. According to State Police Colonel Jeffrey Noble, Traynor was a trooper for the past 3 years and was previously a corrections officer in Essex County. Noble added that during his 3 years with the state police, Traynor was a field training officer or trooper coach and was on the department's Troop A community action team. 71 degrees in Boston right now. Rain on the way. This is GBH News.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Made in Cookware. Made in Cookware is crafted by chefs for use in restaurants and home kitchens around the world. Their cookware can be found at madeincookware.com. This is NPR.
Welcome to the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. We are streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. On May 1st, a ruling from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed FDA rules that allowed people to access the abortion pill mifepristone through the mail. Then on Monday, Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito temporarily restored those rules, once again allowing people to access the abortion drug mifepristone by mail. Now, how long is that going to last? At least until May 11th. After that, unclear. One thing is for certain, wherever the court lands, abortion activists are going to continue fighting for people's access to abortion medication. We are joined via Zoom right now by one of those activists, Susan Yanow. She's with several domestic and international organizations that work on access to abortion. She's also director of outreach and community engagement at the MAP, which connects individuals around the country to Massachusetts physicians who can remotely prescribe and ship abortion medication anywhere in the U.S. Susan Yanow, welcome to the Curiosity Desk. We are having some technical difficulties.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, Susan. No apologies necessary. Thank you again for being with us. So I want to start by talking about essentially how mifepristone works and its part in this two-pill combination that we've come to use, which includes misoprostol. So these are two words which sound very similar, two separate medications, two separate drugs. So can you tell us what we know about how did we come to understand how this all works?
Sure. That's a great question. And there's so much confusion because we all use the shorthand abortion pill, right? And misoprostol alone has been used since the 1980s. It was originally registered as a medication for gastric ulcers, which, if you look behind me, those pills have little stomachs on them. These are the original Suril misoprostol pills. It said right on the package, do not use if pregnant, can cause uterine contractions. And women in Brazil quickly figured out, in a place where abortion was totally illegal, that this could be useful. So what misoprostol essentially does is it causes the uterus to contract and it causes a miscarriage. So it's used all over the world. 12 tablets up to 12 weeks, a different regimen after 12 weeks. In the late 1980s, early 1990s, pharmacy manufacturers developed mifepristone. It was originally called RU486, Russell Uclef 486. It was developed to make the misoprostol even more effective. When one uses mifepristone, one uses less misoprostol, and the efficacy rate goes from 90 to 95% with misoprostol alone to 95 to 98% when mifepristone is added. And misoprostol has some somewhat unpleasant side effects. So using less of it makes for a less, a more pleasant experience.
What kind of side effects are we talking about?
Causes a little bit of nausea, light chills from a light fever, a little bit of diarrhea. Those pass within an hour. But with mifepristone, one uses one dose of 4 pills of misoprostol, so it goes through that once. If your person is 10 to 12 weeks, they use a second dose. But with misoprostol alone, one needs to use 3 doses.
Okay. So can you explain why it is that, right now we're hearing so much in the news? Obviously, the court is, weighing in right now, and it's all centered around mifepristone as opposed to misoprostol. So why are we hearing so much about mifepristone and not about misoprostol?
Such a good question. So mifepristone was introduced into the U.S. and as part of the political compromise that allowed us to have it 10 years after European countries had it, is that mifepristone had to be dispensed in person. Now, there is absolutely no reason for this from a medical point of view. It was purely a political way to make it harder to get these medicines. During COVID, when a lot of us switched to telemedicine for all kinds of things,
Sure.
including virtual meetings with our doctor, the FDA took that restriction off of mifepristone, and President Biden extended that after the COVID pandemic. So we have been able to use telemedicine to get these pills to whoever needs them in any U.S. state, U.S. territory, or any U.S. military base. And I want to stress that because people who get pregnant and are in the military may be in a country where abortion is totally illegal. They may be in a state where it's illegal. So that's an important part of our service. Mifepristone is only used for abortion. It has some other possible uses, but the research into its uses has been really restricted by the politics around trying to control this medicine. Misoprostol is made in multiple countries. It's available over the counter in many Latin American countries. It's used for all kinds of gynecological surgery. It's used to treat ulcers in humans and in dogs. Racehorses, people who have racehorses, give them a misoprostol tablet to prevent ulcers. So it's a widely available, very inexpensive drug. It would be much harder to restrict it. And there's none of the same restrictions on how it's given, how it's distributed.
Understood. And then, in terms of safety of these drugs, both have gone through the normal process, the rigorous process. The FDA has determined that they are both safe to use for the prescribed reasons for usage. Is that also true?
Let me go beyond safe. It's 8 times safer than Viagra. People may not know there have been numerous deaths from Viagra. It is safer than aspirin. It is safer than Tylenol. The rate of death, if that's what we're measuring, from these pills is lower than aspirin or Tylenol. So not only is it safe, it's safer than things that we probably have in our pockets right now.
So pretty safe.
Really safe.
You're listening to The Curiosity Desk. We're talking with abortion rights activist Susan Yanow. So this week marks 4 years since we learned the Supreme Court was going to overturn Roe v. Wade with the Dobbs decision. You, in response to that, helped establish something called the MAP Project in the fall of 2023. I want to talk about that. What is the MAP Project? What do you do?
So I want to be clear that I am not one of the co-founders of the MAP, but I joined shortly after after it was founded. What the Shield Law does, so after Dobbs, as I'm sure listeners know, 18 states moved to ban abortions, but 22 states moved to strengthen their abortion laws and to make it easier to get the reproductive health care that people need. 8 states went even further, Massachusetts being one of them, and established that within their shield law practices, which is designed to protect clinicians who are providing this care, which is legal in Massachusetts, but if somebody comes from Texas or Alabama, they wanted to be sure that our clinicians could stay safe. For the purpose, the shield law basically says that for the purposes of medication abortion, anybody in the U.S., a U.S. territory, the U.S. military, can be considered a Massachusetts citizen, and our doctors can lawfully prescribe. So given that law, it took about 9 months, and our co-founders set up the MAP, which is essentially a telehealth service. We have 5 doctors. It is an asynchronous service, which means the person who requesting the pills can open their computer at midnight, fill out the consultation form. Our doctor might review it in the morning, and assuming there are no counterindications, and it's such a safe medicine, there are almost never counterindications, medical counterindications. The pills can be shipped that same day via priority mail. People get them within 2 to 3 days. We have 80 volunteers who help package these pills up and make sure they get out the door. The packages arrive within 2 to 3 days, and we're currently sending 3,000 to 3,300 packages a month, primarily into the states with abortion bans. And what we hear back from our patients is deep appreciation, deep satisfaction. In many states, the abortion rate has gone higher because these pills are available in people's mailbox. They don't have to travel. Even before Dobbs, people had to travel. We had 7 states that had 1 clinic in the entire state that provided this care. So we see that we have found an unmet need for affordable and accessible services.
How much does it cost? What is, for the person who is using it in South Dakota or Idaho or Alabama or even, as you point out, in places where abortion may also be perfectly legal? I think I kind of get. You say they log on, they do their thing. How do they pay, or do they pay? How does that part of it work?
Good question. So we accept all the usual payment platforms. We ask $75, but it is a pay what you can model. And 1/3 of our patients pay $5. We do a lot of independent fundraising to make sure that we can say yes to every person, regardless of income or zip code, who's medically eligible for our services. We have foundation grants that cover some of our core costs, like the malpractice insurance for our doctors, our office rent. But the cost of that package, the medicines, the postage, and the printed inserts is $75. So we run a deficit every month.
I was going to say, how do you make it work? How do you make the two sides of the ledger match up?
We count on generous donors. We count on abortion funds around the country that are supporting the people in their state. We hustle and we raise that money. If anybody listening wants to learn more about the MAP, please get in touch. Cambridge Reproductive Health Consultants is our fiscal sponsor, and we welcome financial support to make sure we can continue to do this.
You listen to the Curiosity Desk. We're talking with abortion rights activist Susan Yanow. I want to turn back to where things stand with the Supreme Court. I think in a lot of cases, these days, I think it's really hard to wrap your head around some of these cases that are weaving their way through the courts, because you have in this case you have one court saying, all right, we're going to put a stop to this for right now, and then the Supreme Court is saying, no, we're going to stop you putting a stop to this right now until at least May 11th. It's not clear to me exactly what is happening here. Can you help us understand where things stand right now on this case?
I wish I had a straightforward answer, but let's be honest. Our courts are no longer making decisions based on the Constitution and the law. Overturning Roe v. Wade had nothing to do with protecting the Constitution, and it, quote, returned it to the states. And now we have Louisiana saying Massachusetts can't do this, and it's not being decided in the states. The Supreme Court has taken this case. I think the Supreme Court is caught between their wish to ban abortion and the reality that if they allow this, if they move on this case and stop mifepristone, the pharmaceutical industry across this country can be disrupted. Because what this case basically says is that a state can look at a product that has been rigorously approved by the FDA and used for 25 years, and because a state objects, it can be taken off the market, or it can be stopped, or it can be interfered with. Imagine if a state said, we don't want anybody using Ozempic or weight control pills anymore, and could bring it to the federal government after all the tests that have been used and all the people that have safely used that drug. Now, common sense would say that the court won't allow that to stand, but we're not exactly in a moment of common sense.
So in this instance, can we talk about the safety issue? And because one of the claims here, it seems like you're bringing this up. One of the claims is that Louisiana is saying, like, is it that we think, or that we are saying it's potentially possible that this drug is not safe, and that's kind of one of the things that they're objecting to, at least on the face of things?
So here's the thing. It's not just that the FDA approved this in the year 2000. And the safety record is unparalleled. There have been more studies published around the safety of these drugs than any other medicine used in the United States because of the political nature of it. Not just the safety of the use, but the safety of its use in telemedicine has been documented since the pandemic. So there is no data that can counter these piles, and literally a pile of documents was delivered to the court by scientists who have documented the safety of this. So people can say whatever they can say, but there's no scientific evidence to back the claim that it's not safe. This is a political move to control our bodies and nothing else.
So as you watch this, in your words, political move attempting to control people's bodies, how does your work, the work that you're doing, how does the work that you're doing with MAP and with other organizations, how does that stand to change at all if the Supreme Court does weigh in on this one way or the other?
If the Supreme Court restricts the mailing of mifepristone, we will immediately pivot to a misoprostol-only regimen. We were ready to go with that Monday morning. At 11 o'clock, the stay on the stay came. And fortunately, we don't usually go to the post office till the late afternoon. So we continue to send the mifepristone plus misoprostol. We are ready to use this very safe and scientifically approved regimen the day that we have to. We will continue to send pills to all 50 states, no matter what.
How did you get into this work? Why is this so important to you to do this work?
On the most basic level, I have a uterus, and being able to control when and if to become a parent has always been critical to my life path. But I also believe that bodily autonomy is one of the basic rights that every person has, and that we have to continue to protect it. And it feels very linked to me to other basic human rights. So I've been working on this for a very long time.
We're speaking with Susan Yanow. She's an abortion rights activist. You know, here in Massachusetts, the right to abortion is secure, at least for now. Messaging from at least our state government, suggests that is going to continue to be the case. But what do you think people who are listening here in Massachusetts right now, if they want to help, if they want to be involved in the kind of work you're doing, either somebody with a lot of time or somebody with not a lot of time, or somebody with a lot of money or somebody not with a lot of money, what can they do? What can they do?
So the first thing I want to say is we have deep support from our state attorney general and our state governor. And if people can thank those two officers for sticking behind our right to abortion and standing up for the SHIELD law, that's really important.
Do you think that makes a difference? Do you think that is important?
I think it is really important that people who are when people are doing the wrong thing, they hear about it. We don't do enough to let people know when they're doing the right thing. So that would be extremely helpful. Thank Attorney General Andrea Campbell for her vigorous support of the SHIELD law practice. Thank Governor Maura Healey. Thank all of the representatives that passed the SHIELD law. If people want to get involved with our project, they can contact the MAP. We use volunteers to pack the pills, although we have plenty of people right now. We never know what's going to happen. We always can use folks who will host house parties or donate and help us find ways to bridge that financial gap every single month so that we can keep going.
All right. We've been speaking with Susan Yanow, abortion rights activist and the Director of Outreach and Community Engagement with the MAP. That is the Massachusetts Medicine Abortion Access Project. For more information on the MAP, go to CambridgeReproductiveHealthConsultants.org. Thank you, Susan, for taking the time to be with us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
After a quick break, we will get you caught up on the news you may have missed and probably ought to know. This is the Curiosity Desk on GBH. Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the Curiosity Desk, where we answer your questions. We turn these little wonderings into in-depth conversations with voices across different fields. Unique listener-driven shows like ours only exist with listener support. Your support. Consider supporting the Curiosity Desk today and help continue these insightful and wonderful investigations into the unknown. Call 888-897-9424 or visit gbhnews.org.
That's 888-897-9424 or gbhnews.org. This is the Curiosity Desk. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III, and I'm in studio right now with the one and only senior producer of the show, Aidan Connolly.
The one and only, yes. Hi, Edgar. We're looking for you to support GBH by giving $10 a month, and we're going to thank you with our brand new, this is totally new, I hadn't seen it until they showed me, high-powered monocular telescope.
This is a cool gift.
Yeah, and it's perfect for us too, right? This is great for birding. This is great for whale watching if you're going to a sports game. You got the faraway seats. Or maybe you listen to a segment with Anjali Tripathi and you want to learn about the stars and you want to take a look at the comets above. It even comes with its own tripod for stabilizing your view if you got shaky hands, and it can act as a telephoto lens. You put your smartphone up to it, take some animal pictures. We want you to get outdoors. We want you to observe nature. We're looking for you to support GBH when you do. Just $10 a month, or you can give $120 all at once, and we'll thank you with this monocular telescope. The deadline to get that is 7 o'clock this evening, and after that, it's not going to be available for the entire rest of the drive. You can give online at gbhnews.org or call 888-897-9424.
Now, of course, you've heard federal funding for public media stations, including GBH, is gone. It has been completely eliminated, and that means that the future of this public service is not secure. The one way you can help in making sure that it stays strong, that it is secure, is a contribution right now, and that doesn't have to be every penny in your bank account, just what works for you. We're going to ask you to stand with GBH right now in this moment. 888-897-9424 is the number. If you want to do it online, you can do that too, gbhnews.org.
Now, one-time gifts are great. They're fantastic.
Love
but
them.
Sustaining membership is the greatest.
Also love them.
It's giving a monthly giving plan. It's really easy. All you got to do is just pick an amount to charge each month on your credit card, and they'll take it out. $10, $15 per month is all it takes. But you can give more. 888-897-9424, again, is the number. Or if you want to go online, gbhnews.org.
And, of course, if you want to make that sustaining gift at $10 a month, we can thank you. With the limited time offer that we have on the table right now, we will say thanks with the GBH Monocular Telescope.
It's
only
sweet.
available on this first day of the drive. Again, online, you want to make that gift at gbhnews.org, or you can always call 888-897-9424. And truly, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your support. This is, of course, the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. We're streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. Still in studio with me right now, our senior producer, Aidan Connolly.
Hey, Edgar.
Hey, Aidan, are you a baseball guy?
I guess, roughly. I like to go to Fenway Park. I like to have a Fenway Frank and take in a game every now and then.
Okay, well, did you know that on this day, May 6th, way back in 1915, the Red Sox lost to the Yankees 4-3 in 13 innings?
That's it. Okay, the Red Sox, they lost a game in extra innings something like 111 years ago?
No, there's more to the story, obviously. Here.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. Let me guess. Okay.
Yeah,
so
go.
It was also the first game played on a field with some new strain of grass that was developed by a guy with the last name Kelly, and that's how we got Kelly Green, right?
Ha ha.
Yeah.
No, try again.
Okay.
Try again.
All right. It was the first time they used a baseball with red stitching made from thread produced by domesticated silkworms here in the United States, imported from Bangladesh.
No, seriously. Okay, here. No, there is a fact here. I will give you a hint. Okay.
Okay.
Here's your hint.
Yep.
It was a very important day for the Red Sox pitcher at the plate.
Shot in the dark. This is Babe Ruth?
Yes,
Is it
Babe Ruth. A pitcher
Okay.
at the plate, it's a Babe Ruth.
Hey,
thing.
I'll count it.
He pitched 12 in a third innings and took the loss in this game, but he went 3 for 5 at the plate, including a home run. Now, this wasn't just any home run. This was Babe Ruth's first major league home run, a solo shot in the top of the third.
The first of 714 in a 22-year career.
Great knowledge. See, you are a baseball
Little bit.
guy.
All right,
There you
Edgar.
go.
Well, that's a fun fact about this day in history. But of course, we're trying to keep our eye on the ball as far as what's going on today. And for that, we have Gal Tziperman-Lotan. She writes the 5 Things Daily Newsletter. Gal, hello.
Hello, good to be here.
Good to have you.
So let's start on campus. The Federal Department of Education says that it's investigating Smith College because it admits trans women. Smith is in Northampton and has let anyone who self-identifies as a woman apply since 2015. Now, this isn't the first time the Trump administration has investigated Massachusetts schools over transgender students. Last year, the Department of Education announced it would look into the Massachusetts Interscholastic Athletic Association over rules allowing trans girls to play sports. And we'll keep following these investigations.
Yes, we certainly will. What else is happening in our little corner of the world?
So yesterday, voters in Salem approved raising their own property taxes to pay for a new high school building.
This is one of those Proposition 2.5
Yes.
overrides,
We should
right?
do a segment on Prop 2.5 at some point. Anyway, go.
Gal, what was voter turnout like?
It was pretty good. So about 19% of registered voters came out, which for a local election is usually on the higher side. And 57% of them said they wanted to pay more so the city can pay off a new high school. Now, the new building will cost about $447 million, and the city needs to come up with about $232 million. The rest is going to come from the state.
Okay, well, that sounds like a lot of money, but what are we talking about? What's the hit on the average household?
Yeah, about $700 extra a year for the median household.
Okay, interesting. I think I know Brookline approved their own override yesterday too, right?
That's right.
So what else is going on?
Yeah, so over in Boston's Franklin Park, the city is, as you know, working on demolishing and renovating White Stadium. This is a story we've been following for a long time now.
Of course, yeah.
The idea is to turn it into a more modern place for Boston Public Schools athletics and a home for a professional women's soccer team called Boston Legacy FC. It's been a long process and the subject of a few lawsuits. One thing some neighbors have said is that they felt left out of the city's decision making.
So does the city have a response to that? What are they doing?
Yeah, so yesterday they announced this 15-person council. The council's job is to get updates on the project from the city and share them with the neighborhood, and to get feedback from neighbors and share it with the city. As you know, Franklin Park borders Mattapan, Dorchester, Roxbury, and Jamaica Plain, so we're talking about a lot of Bostonians here.
All right, we'll keep our eyes on that. Gal, do you have one more story for us?
Yes, of course. So you might remember last year the state passed a law letting people more easily seal their eviction records.
Yeah.
The intent was to help more people who have had a hard time finding a new place to live because their eviction records follow them around. And sometimes these were no-fault evictions, which means landlords just kind of made people leave their homes without having to prove they violated the lease or committed any harm.
Indeed. So, all right, so do we have an update here? Like, how effective has this law been?
Yeah, so it's been pretty popular. The state, in the first year of this law, got more than 6,000 requests to seal eviction records.
Wow.
And here's what Whitney Demetrius from the state's Fair Housing Office told GBH's Chris Burrell.
Families who once faced automatic rejection now have a pathway to apply for housing where the weight of their past eviction doesn't define them. Individuals are able to compete in the rental market with dignity and opportunity.
There's more information about how to seal an eviction record on the Massachusetts Attorney General's website.
All right, thank you. That is Gal Tziperman-Lotan, who writes our GBH Daily email newsletter. If you'd like the latest news in your inbox every day, every morning, sign up at gbh.org/daily.
Aiden, Gal, thank you both.
Thank you so much.
Coming up, while the rest of us are soaking in the sun, cranberry farmers are keeping the frost at bay. We will talk with a couple of those farmers, growers, boggers? Cranberry boggers?
We'll find out.
Whatever it is, we're going to talk to them. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. You're listening to The Curiosity Desk. Stay with us.
This is The Curiosity Desk, and today is our GBH membership drive. If you enjoy listening to Edgar and his crew as they dive into your most curious questions, consider making a contribution today. Any amount. whether it be $5, $10, or $50, supports our mission to bring you down-to-earth and interesting conversations. Enhance your own curiosity every day when you call 888-897-9424 or when you visit gbhnews.org. That's 888-897-9424 or gbhnews.org.
Well, you know the drill, folks. The number to call, 888-897-9424. You can always make a gift online at gbhnews.org. This is the Curiosity Desk. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III, and I am in studio with the one and only senior producer of the Curiosity Desk, Aidan Connolly.
That's right. Today we're looking for you to support GBH by giving $10 a month, and we're going to thank you with our brand new, high-powered, they're calling it a monocular telescope. Just picture it's like a small telescope you hold in your hands. You can hold it right up to your eye. This is great for birding. It's great if you're going whale watching, if you're at a sports game and you're really far away, if you're trying to catch comets, meteor showers in the night sky.
If you're in an 18th century pirate ship, it would also be perfect.
Yeah, or if you're at the BPL and you couldn't get good seats in the front, you're far
go.
back, you really want to see Edgar in the flesh. This thing comes with a strap. It comes with a phone holder, and it comes with a tripod. You don't need batteries, people. This is a telescope. It's ready to go out of the box. Just $10 a month. Or give $120 all at once. And there is, unfortunately, a deadline to all of this. You want to get this telescope 7 this evening. After that, it's not going to be available for the entire rest of the drive. So right now, we're looking for you to give online at gbhnews.org or give us a call, 888-897-9424.
Well, the good news is that it does not take long to make that contribution. So if you are looking to get that amazing thank you gift of the monocular telescope, you only need like 2 minutes of your time. You make a quick phone call to 888-897-9424. We get a little contact information. You tell us how much you want to give. Boom, it's done. It could not be easier. So this is the time to do it right now. First day of the drive, get it out of the way. You're going to feel good. You're going to feel happy that you made your contribution. And you know why we ask you to do this, and that is because we know that you are what fuels this operation. We need your support, and at $10 a month, we hope that doesn't really impact your budget too much, but it makes a big difference here. So 888-897-9424 or gbhnews.org.
Now, we're a relatively new show. We've been on the air for
our
third month anniversary being on the air, and we have really thrown the kitchen sink at you.
We've tried.
A lot of heavy, sort of substantial news topics. Every Thursday, we have Joan Donovan talking about misinformation. We have this recurring AI news panel. But we're really going all over it. I mean, this is the place where you hear about scientists creating special futuristic seeds wrapped in shrimp husks. You heard Craig Lamolt's really fabulously done centenary special
about centenary special, amazing,
about the newspaper he found in his floorboards and following up on all these stories. Your support makes all of this possible. 888-897-9424 or hit the donate button online at gbhnews.org.
As we like to say here, you don't have to do it all yourself. We just ask you to do what works for you. And if $10 a month is in your budget, you can take advantage of the limited time offer with the new GBH monocular. That is our gift to you. If you can make a gift of $10 a month to keep the Curiosity Desk strong, to keep GBH strong, all of the news and programming that you get on the air here, from Jim and Marjorie to this show to the Culture Show to everything you see on television to everything you see on the YouTube channel, this is your chance to support it. gbhnews.org if you want to do it online, or a simple phone call, 888-897-9424, and thanks. You're listening to the Curiosity Desk on GBH 89.7. I am Edgar B. Herwick III. We are streaming live at youtube.com/GBH News. Most of us think of spring as the easy season. The flowers are blooming, the weather is warming, everything's coming back to life. But for cranberry farmers, it is a different story. While we are all sleeping, they are on frost watch. So what is frost watch, and how does it stand to impact our Thanksgiving plates 6 months from now? Well, here to explain is Steve Ward. He is the owner of Massachusetts Cranberries Company, and with him, Johnson Cranberries farmer Matt Johnson. Steve, Matt, welcome to the Curiosity Desk.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, this is great. So let's begin, and, obviously, I suspect you could talk about cranberry farming. And is farming the right word? Is it?
Absolutely.
It's farming.
We're
Okay.
all farmers, yeah.
So cranberry farming, I imagine you can talk about till the cows come home. But just give us the basics of how it's done. For folks who don't understand how farmers farm cranberries, what are the basics of how it works?
So cranberries, they're a perennial crop. So we use the same vines. My vines are 120 years old.
Wow.
So we come back out of the winter when they're dormant. They start to emerge this time of the year. And as they start to emerge, they become more and more sensitive to the cold weather, which we're kind of heading in the direction of frost. We've had quite a few frost nights. On the cranberry bog, a typical 40-degree night is 15 degrees colder at ankle level on the cranberry bog.
Really? So 15 degrees colder. So if I'm just kind of looking at my weather app, even for my like backyard gardening stuff, and I'm like, we're good. It's 38 degrees tonight. Cool. Yeah. But not on the cranberry bog. Matt, you're shaking your head. Absolutely not. It's cold on the bog, huh?
No, that was something that I had to learn the hard way when I came into the industry, that you're gonna have some sleepless evenings and nights worrying about temperature drop and just watching that thermometer sink.
Really?
So we have, through our Growers Association, we have a group that it's the Frost Committee, and we go out and
The Frost Committee?
The Frost Committee.
This is so good.
Yeah, so we go out once a week and we look at the buds, the bud stages, to determine, okay, how cold can they stand over the next week? So right now the tolerances for early blacks and hows are 22, and then the new hybrids are 25. So we know we need to start up our irrigation systems when we start to get close to those temperatures.
All right, so let's break some of this down because, again, you guys clearly know this stuff. So the sensitivity, the exact temperature that you don't want to hit with depending on the species that we're talking about. It's that specific.
We work very closely with the Cranberry Experiment Station, which is a satellite to UMass Extension, and so we've done a lot of testing. So we have a nice little chart. We bring that right out with us and say, okay, those buds are starting to green up a little bit, so that means that they're about 22 degrees tolerance.
Okay. Yeah. How long does this season where for, again, thinking about just farmers who are farming on land or backyard gardeners right now, they're sort of not worried about frost anymore. How long does this season last for you? While you when are you out of the in the clear and safe and not worried about frost anymore?
Generally from mid-April. There are times it could stretch into early June. It is possible, but definitely throughout the month of May, when they're emerging out of winter dormancy and those vines are turning green and the buds are showing, that is when you want to be careful. Eventually, it'll get warmer here soon, and then it won't be frosting. So June is when you're starting to get into the clear.
So talk to me about the sleepless nights bit, because obviously it gets colder at night, right? So, walk me through, like, one of these sleepless nights, or what happens when, how obsessed are you with the weather? Are you sort of, like, planning your entire day if it's going to be a cold night? Like, walk me through a little bit of that.
We are completely obsessed with the weather.
Really?
And all during the day, you get that little crisp feeling in the air, and most of the growers, when you
have it in your bones. You sort of know it.
They say, "Oh, this is going to be a frost night," and then we watch the weather after dinner and kind of confirm it. And then we have a little call that goes out to all cranberry growers based on some calculations that were determined back in the early 1900s.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Dr. Cross.
And they still work.
And they still work, yeah. So we, based on that, our Frost Committee sends out a little all-call or a text to all the growers, and they know that, okay, tonight, based on the dew point, based on a bunch of other factors, there's probably going to be a frost. And it'll say dangerous frost, possible frost, quite a few different options there. And then we know that we're very fortunate now because all of our systems, most of them are automated, and we can monitor the temperatures on our telephone. Back in the day when I was younger...
I was going to ask, what did you do back in the day?
Yeah, we had a little place at the Cranberry Experiment Station, a nice pot-belly stove, and all the guys... There weren't many girls around then. I wish there were more girls. But they'd go sit around that pot-belly stove, and they'd talk about some of the factors, and all of a sudden one guy would get up and head out, and the rest of them all scrambled to their bogs. And we had the old bulb-style thermometers out, and if you're doing a substantial acreage, 100 acres, you're walking across planks and checking those bulb thermometers. It takes you an hour to go all around.
To check all the spots.
Every single one, yeah.
That's Steve Ward. He's owner of Massachusetts Cranberries Company. With him here in studios, Johnson Cranberries farmer Matt Johnson. Matt, so if you get a frost warning, what are the methods that you have at your disposal to keep your crops from getting too cold? What do you do?
Well, like Steve said, nowadays, very fortunate to be into farming in this day and age where we have the technology to monitor it from a smartphone. So in the evening around 7 o'clock, they'll call out possible frost warning tonight if the conditions get a little bit worse. So on my phone, I go on, I set an alarm, send me a text, send me a call when it hits 25.5 degrees. So I'll be notified on my phone that temperature's going down, and I am a little bit behind the times. I have not installed automation, unfortunately, so then I drive out to my bogs, about a 5-minute drive, not bad, and I turn both of my pumps on and leave them running till about 6:30 when the sun creeps up and the frost is no longer a danger.
So when you say you turn your pumps on, what are you pumping to where, and how does this stop the cranberry crop from frosting over?
So they're irrigation pumps. It's a large engine that basically pumps water from the reservoir out into dozens and dozens of sprinkler heads, and the freezing point of water is 32 degrees.
Yep.
So if you have water constantly going out on the bog, you are going to keep it at a good 32 degrees. Sometimes they even get encoded in ice, and if you look down in the early morning, it is a really cool sight to see the vines encrusted with ice in the morning, and they're not frosted because they haven't dipped to 25 or 22 depending on the time. But it is just really interesting how that water protects them for the rest of the summer into harvest.
So I mean, it seems to a certain extent it seems counterintuitive, Steve and Matt, but what you're saying is by sprinkling water in there, the water turns to ice. You're keeping the cranberry crop from freezing by freezing water on the outside of it, and that keeps it warm enough inside of this icy crusting. Am I getting that right?
I think you'd make a good cranberry grower. Yeah, it's absolutely right.
It's amazing.
There's a certain warmth to the water as it goes on to the bog, but we have some really cold nights. We call those black frosts.
Black frosts.
Yeah,
why?
Because it's just so cold. If your sprinkler system turns off, you lose your crop.
Wow.
So we turn everything on, and we use our sprinkler system, irrigation, as a furnace to warm things up. And like Matt says, the ice around that's encasing the plant is actually keeping the plant warm enough, because the tolerance right now is 25. So 32, plants love that, and that's what we rely on.
Fascinating stuff. We're talking with Steve Ward, owner of Massachusetts Cranberry Company, and Matt Johnson from Johnson Cranberries about cranberry frost season, which we're still in. Have you had sleepless nights lately? What's the last week been like? Have we been frosty out there on the bogs?
The past couple of nights with a lot of wind is a factor that can cancel out a frost.
So you want wind or you don't want wind?
With a good breeze,
so
it can keep a frost away.
Okay.
Cloud cover can keep it a little bit warmer than 32, so a good cloud cover. Ironically, it's when you have a nice, clear evening when that temperature can drop very quickly. No wind, a bright sky during the day, and then stars out in the night. It's gonna drop fast.
So good for stargazing, but not so good for the cranberries.
Absolutely.
So how does the next week look like? I mean, are we still feeling in a danger zone, or are you starting to go like, all right, I think we're past the real danger here? I mean, we're only in early May.
We've got some rain coming in tonight, so Matt and I are going to get a good night's sleep. But we're looking at maybe Friday night dipping down to 42, so that puts us in.
That's the danger zone.
Yeah. So we'll be watching that very closely. We've had, how many nights have we had? About eight or
over
nine
half
nights?
a dozen at least.
Yeah. So it's been a busy frost season already.
Really? So once you get past frost season, do things ease up, or like what's the next phase? Once you're sort of like, okay, not worried about frost anymore, then what are you worried about? Because you have, I mean, you're not going to harvest until the fall, right? So
Right.
what is the next phase of tending these cranberries?
It just goes one season into the next, and Matt, he's a drone pilot, so we were looking at fertilizers, kind of in the middle of frost season and toward the end, and we have a series of products we put on to protect for insects. That's kind of our end of June, July fungus, things like that.
Yeah.
We're fertilizing, and we're trying to irrigate and make sure we're not washing off the products that control pests, and we're trying to wash in the fertilizers. So it is quite a dance.
Yeah. And then, do you, when you talk about, how old did you say your vines are?
They were planted in 1877.
I mean,
so
that is bonkers. Yeah. That is crazy. Yeah. And like, do you feel like, it seems to me like there might come with, like, not only are you doing this for a living, right? Obviously you want to have a good crop, all of that stuff, but also you're sort of a caretaker of this thing that has been around since the 1870s. Like, that's, what does that feel like to be the person who is like, do you feel a responsibility? Like, I got to keep this thing alive.
We do. I mean, the industry's been here for 200 years. And I think, Matt, what generation are you now?
I believe I am. I definitely should know that for certain, but at least the fourth generation.
At least the fourth
family.
in your family to be doing cranberry farming. How did you get into it? I mean, was this your plan when you were young? Were you like, well, I'm definitely going to grow up and be a cranberry farmer, or did you have other plans?
I honestly did not know, and I was going to school actually for communications, and I was thinking,
well, here you are on the radio, so you
all
did
out.
It. You did it.
And I was definitely thinking, okay, if I wanted to do grad school, I want to take a year off, and I'll work on the bogs. And then it was 2020, and everything shut down, and I did not like online school. And then I thought, okay, well, the cranberry industry didn't shut down, so started working there. That's when I started working full-time. I worked summers for a while and then fell into it, and I've been there since, so going on 6 years. But additionally, you've grown up here. You do feel that responsibility that this is something that you want to take care of. You've been here your whole life, and whether it was planned or not, it's definitely something that I can see myself doing for a while.
We love having Matt in the industry. He's kind of one of those shining stars coming up.
Steve, I wonder, we hear a lot in the farming industry in general about, some concerns that there's not enough young people coming into the industry. Do you see this in the cranberry sector as well?
We do. We talk about this all the time. I'm a member and vice president of the Massachusetts Farm Bureau, and also the Cape Cod Cranberry Growers Association, and we're doing programs, leadership programs, trying to work and encourage young people to come on. Like I was saying to Matt earlier, he's about to have a baby in the next month.
Hey, congratulations, Matt!
And I told him, because I was a cranberry grower, I never missed a soccer game, t-ball game. Yeah. Because, I mean, you're working a lot of hours, but you work around the things that your family are doing.
You can adjust your schedule to fit your needs, and that's a very good thing when you are beginning to raise a family.
About 6 months ago, there were some videos that went crazy on TikTok and elsewhere, alleging that cranberry bogs were hotbeds for these wolf spiders. Can you either confirm or deny for us? Like, is this a thing? Like, did you guys clock this as it was happening? Yes. You're like, yeah, we know it was happening.
We've answered this question.
It's
a lot.
One of the many questions people ask when they ask, "What do you do for a living?"
Yeah.
I'm in agriculture. I'm a cranberry farmer. Yeah. Tell me about the spiders. And it's not uncommon for you're out there during harvest and there's a spider on your shoulder.
Yeah.
It's definitely not common. You're not going to see it every day. Yeah. But they'll crawl up your leg, they'll crawl on your arms.
And the spiders are beneficial insects, so they control.
So you like seeing spiders?
We do like seeing spiders.
But what bugs do you not like seeing?
Well, I don't like seeing those yellow jackets when we're pulling the berries around the bog.
We got a question from Katie on YouTube is asking, why do you grow the vines in a bog? Like, why do you do that?
Well, the soil type, we're a glacial
just where
base.
They work.
We're a glacial base, we're a sandy base. The pH is very low. It just works out very well. Cranberries like to grow in sand.
All right.
Yeah.
We've been speaking with Steve Ward from Mass Cranberries and Johnson Cranberries farmer Matt Johnson. Thank you both for being with us on the Curiosity Desk.
Thank you.
Very much a pleasure.
And that does it for us for now. Don't go anywhere. The Culture Show with Jared Bowen's coming up next. He's talking with Olive Kittredge author Elizabeth Strout about her latest book. Curiosity Desk produced by Aidan Connolly, Rachel Armania, Olivia Corcio, Hannah Loss, and Nicole Garcia. Our thanks to everybody around the foundation who help us get this show on the air every day. We will be back in 23 short hours here on GBH 89.7 and streaming on YouTube. Until then, I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. Stay curious out there.
And this is the GBH Spring Membership Drive. We're here asking you to stand with GBH by making a contribution. The only way to keep this important news service on the air and free to all is with greater support from our listeners. So please give now at gbhnews.org or 888-897-9424.
I can't hear anything.
Okay. Well, we are with you today, and we're talking about our brand new GBH Monocular. It's yours for an ongoing gift of $10 a month, or a sustaining gift of $10 a month, or a one-time gift of $120. This is a great new thing we're offering today, and it's proven to be very popular. It's a telescopic monocular, and it's got a tripod. You can hold it steady while you look at the stars, or take it with you to a concert. Maybe you're going whale watching, whatever it is. This is a great little thing to take out in the springtime here in Boston. $10 a month or a one-time gift of $120. We have a picture of it for you online. You can check it out at gbhnews.org or by calling 888-897-9424.
We've got that great monocular set when you give us a call right now. And when you do, you're doing your part to become a supporter of GBH News right now. You know, we lost our federal funding. We're doing our very best to make ends meet here, but we only really do that with your support. And you know what? That's always been the case here. You've always been at the core of the giving that we use to be here with you and supporting you with all the great news and facts and information you look to GBH News to supply to you. So now's the time for you to take part and with us right now and give us a call at 888-897-9424 or gbhnews.org.
And the giving is really easy to do. It just takes a couple of minutes of your time. All we need is your name, some contact information, that amount you'd like to give, and how you'd like to pay. We do encourage you to sign up as a sustaining member, really the best way to support all that you come to GBH for each and every day. But hey, if you want to make a one-time gift, that works as well. The important thing is to get involved, show your support, give in any amount right now. Look for the donate button when you find us at gbhnews.org or call us at 888-897-9424.
You know, we're facing a challenge we haven't had to face before. The federal funding for public media has been eliminated this year and every year for as far as we can see. Getting more listener support is the only way to sustain GBH going forward. It's your contribution that will fund the future of GBH and the programs you rely on. gbhnews.org or 888-897-9424.
And as you might know, GBH is a nonprofit public radio station. You can tell because of the high quality of what you hear each day. You can tell because of the stories and the perspectives about our region and the world.